all right.
How we feeling?
How we doing? How we
How we
living?
looking?
How we feeling?
How's everything, you know?
It's good to see you.
Bring this down a
Good
little.
to see you, Badake. Good to see that smiling face early in the morning here in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, 11,
Nice
12.
little
Yeah.
cheese.
It is hot as
Oh, I
bruh.
was baking this morning in my room. I had to turn the
Bruh.
AC on real quick.
Yeah, it's hot right now. It's gonna be like, I think it's gonna be like nearly 90 degrees.
Mm,
Like 80,
yeah,
it's like 80 something. I'll tell you how hot it is right now actually.
yeah. It's
It's actually
pretty
80.
hot.
It's 83 degrees right now,
Yeah,
according to the weather app on my phone.
it's hot as hell here, and unfortunately, that's just a part of living in Sydney.
Summertime,
Summertime, summertime.
summertime,
Shout out
baby.
to everyone who is watching. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hey, can you do us a huge favor and drop a like on the stream if you like the content? Shout out to Kirk Cousins. First round exit. The spotlight was a little bit too much for him. What can you do?
Yeah,
Hey,
it just
4th and
too
8,
much.
and you throw it a 3-yard pass to the flat.
Hey,
What
how
are we
about
doing, Kirk?
how about them New York Football Giants? Something special is
Yeah.
happening. We're going back to Philly. I'm scared, but I'm just glad for the opportunity. I'm just glad for the opportunity. That's all I can ask for is the
Okay.
opportunity.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that makes sense. All right, guys, we're going to be doing a Dynasty rookie draft today. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. We see you. Specifically, a big shout out to Brad O'Connell, who just
love.
became a new member, a YouTube member. So that is the easiest way to kind of, it's one of the few ways that you can really support our work. And when you become a YouTube member on our channel, you get a special loyalty badge, which grows over time. And you will also, the vets, which means when we start doing our supporter only streams, you will also get access to those. So shout out to Brad. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, man. Jonah, what's up, man? Before we jump into the rookie draft, Bijan for Chase. I would take Chase. What would you guys need to give up Chase for Bijan? I mean, I would go Chase. We can't dive into that just right now because I don't want to go too long into the questions. I want to get into the mock. What's up, G Money? What's up, Jared? Good time. What's up? Okay, so they're telling me where to start my mock. 7, 8, 7, 12, 4, 8, 6, 10, 12, 7, 107. Later, your firsts are few predictable. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. So my name's Zach. That is Badake.
How we feeling?
In case you guys don't know.
If you guys don't know, my name's actually Daniel.
It is actually Daniel.
But my last name is Badake, which that's kind of what all my friends call me. You just call me by my last name, but you can call me whatever you like. Daniel, Badake, it can be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call me, it's okay.
Whatever you want to call him. All right, so a lot of people are pushing me towards the back end of the draft, which I feel like has been every draft that we've done. I've been pushed to the back end of the draft. That's what I feel. So I feel like I did the 12 last time. Did I do the 12?
I already grabbed the spot. I got the 10.
You got the 10?
I've been doing the middle to early.
All right, I'm going to go
4 to the
6.
7.
I'm going to go 6 in this one. All right, if people want to join today's mock, how can they do so, Badake? What is the steps for them to join today's mock draft?
Yeah. As always, guys, we have a link in the description. Join our Discord. Go there and then go to Dynasty. Join our Discord first, right? And then go to Dynasty, damn it. And then we can go to the Dynasty mock draft tab. You can kind of see where I already posted the link to join this live stream in general. Then you can come through and I'll be posting that link to the draft. It is first come, first serve. So keep that in mind. If you don't get in today, then you will have an opportunity to get in anytime throughout the off season because we're gonna be doing mock drafts Monday through Thursday. We haven't been doing Mondays because the playoffs have been on Mondays, and I know people are gonna like to watch the playoffs. So until football season is officially over, then we will start doing them on Mondays. But yes, Monday through Thursday, and that's how you join the live stream. So once again, Discord link in the description below. Go to Dynasty Damn It in the Dynasty Mock Draft tab where you kind of see where I posted that link already earlier for this live stream. That's where I'll be posting the sleeper link. So come through.
Yeah.
Got a good community. Got a good
I think
community.
it depends on where these two firsts are. I mean, if they're both late, I kind of don't love it. But even if they're like 108 early, I would take that over Drake London, Ben. What's up, LT Gray? We back like a bad habit. What's up, JT?
How we feeling? How we feeling?
I think their defense is more the issue for the Vikings for sure. No, I don't disagree. What's up, brother? Daniel, you sound hella New York in that last video.
Right.
He's from Brooklyn.
I am from New York, so I definitely it comes in and out. It's been a while, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess when I talk about something or I'm passionate about something, it kind of comes out. But sometimes, like I don't think I sound. I mean, I don't know. Apparently, when I'm really passionate, it kind of comes out a lot more.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. All right, we have someone in the mock draft, and if you're like, wait, how did they get in the mock draft? That's because I do a little raffle, if you will, every time we go live on my Twitter. Anyone who retweets, I find one person at random. I do a little randomizer 15 minutes before, and that person gets a guaranteed entry. So I also put out film over there on Twitter, and just, you know, different thoughts. I'm trying to get more active on the Twitter sphere. So give me a follow there, as well as Badake. Because Badake's also putting out some cool content as well. We do have landing spots. Okay, these landing spots are in the description. I will paste them in the chat as well. So we'll go through those landing spots in 1 second, because some of them have changed.
Have they changed? Yeah, I was about
some
to
of them
say,
have changed. Yeah, some of them are the same, but some of them have changed. So we'll go through those in a second. But again, if you guys want to join today's mock, join our Discord with link in the description. We're going to send out the link in the Dynasty Mock Drafts text channel. There's over 1,000 of you, almost 1,100 of you, and there's only 9 spots. So, I mean, you know, do the math. It's unlikely that you get in, but always give it a go. You never know what can happen. And hopefully you just enjoy hanging out with us, and we can kind of talk about it as we go, and also, you know, contribute to the chat and whatnot. So let's go ahead and send out the link over on Discord, Badake. Let's get to it.
All right, guys. Once again, first come, first serve. We do recommend, if you're on your phone, that you have a better chance to get. Yeah, you have a better chance if you're on your desktop or laptop, whatever the case may be. But here, I will post a link and I will tag everyone.
That's just what we've been told by the community.
Yeah. So if you don't get in because you're on your phone, it's probably because it's a little bit slower. Anyways,
yeah.
3, 2, 1, and that is sent to everyone. There you
that
go.
Will fill up pretty quick. Good day. Are you from Australia then?
Good day, mate.
People ever call you the C word? Oh, all the time, but like as a compliment. They're like, oh, this guy's a mad C. You know? It's like, whoa, okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, got it. Yeah, if people insult you in Australia, then typically it means they like you. If people are insulting and like quite brash, typically they're a fan of you, which was a weird. Like the first year I was here, that was a weird turnover, but then I just was like all in my second year. Now I've been here for a decade, I think. So you get used to it pretty quickly. All right, we have a full mock draft, so let's quickly go over what's happening here. This is a 2023 Dynasty rookie mock draft. It is Superflex. It is not tight end premium. The scoring format is PPR. We do have landing spots associated with these players.
Yeah.
So Bryce Young is a Texan. CJ Stroud is a Colt. We have Will Levis as a Raider. Quentin Johnson is a Panther. But Jordan Addison's a Packer. But now we have Anthony Richardson this week, who is a Washington Commander. I'm a big fan of that move. I don't know if he falls that far, but I mean, I like it.
It's interesting.
Michael Mayer goes to the Bucks. Bijan Robinson to the Ravens. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a Jag. Kayshon Boutte goes to the Chiefs. I'm a big Kayshon Boutte guy, and I love that landing spot for him personally. I mean, I just think he's such a dominant wide receiver. Jalen Hyatt is a Colt again. Darnell Washington, new home, the Panthers. And then, oh my gosh.
Jahmyr Gibbs to the Saints. This is great. I mean, this is my...
They already have the blueprint.
They have it, exactly. Why not?
I'm assuming in this scenario, Alvin Kamara, who was already on the trade block last year, is probably moving on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sexy spot. Josh Downs, wide receiver, goes to the Browns. Zay Flowers to the Patriots. Tanner McKee is a Buck. Rashee Rice is a Bear. Luke Musgrave is a Charger. Dalton Kincaid is a Lion.
That's good.
Zach Charbonnet goes to the Cardinals. I love it. I love that spot. Parker Washington to the Texans. That's interesting because he feels like...
That's not
even
bad.
though he's 215, I feel like he goes to the slot. Do you put Mechie outside? I don't know.
I think didn't he operate a lot outside in Alabama, or am I mistaken?
Mechie did, yeah, he did.
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of makes sense.
He just feels like he suits a slot role in the NFL, is what I'm saying.
For sure.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah. What else we have?
We have Zach Evans to the
There you
Dolphins. So let's see if
But
everyone
still-
still hates Zach Evans today.
Still.
I
Yeah,
love him.
Hendon
But let's
Hooker.
see. Hendon Hooker to the Seahawks.
Cedric Tillman to my Giants.
Cedric Tillman to the Giants. Sam Laporta to the
Wow.
Bengals.
They have Sean Tucker to the Giants as
Sean
well.
Tucker to the Giants. This is like the comp picks. That's not a great spot. I think Saquon's back. So
I think
he becomes
Saquon's back as well.
He
I'm
becomes
assuming-
a complimentary piece. I love Tucker Kraft, by the way. He is. We should talk about him, but that's not a great landing spot, is it? I mean, people are probably going to be upset that we say that. Anytime we say Sean Tucker's landing spot isn't good, people are like, "You're crazy." Let me tell you why you're wrong.
I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's because we both believe he can handle a workload. That he can do that. At least that's my perspective. He can handle a workload. He can come in and just be an all-down guy, be a pass-catching guy. But every scenario you've seen him in as a backup role so far. So at least in these mocks.
In my scouting report, I believe I mentioned his projected role for me is like a Tony Pollard type role.
Right.
But I think he has the upside to be a workhorse.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I'm not so all in of him being that, but I think it is within the realm of possibilities.
No, that's fair.
Okay, Sleeper has the rookies. Now, the ADP is completely jank, so we'll see how that goes. And if you want to draft a player who you don't see on Sleeper's ADP, type them in, guys. If you don't find them, let me know. I'll pull out the old Photoshop and try and pop them on top for you. But here we go. Take your time, and we will talk about some of these players. We will pause at times to discuss these players, and we're just going to have a good time. So thanks for hanging out with us. Shout out to all 104 of you. Do us a favor. Drop a like. Currently at 56 likes. Let's try and get that all the way up to that, I don't know, 80 mark. That would be awesome. With your help, I think we can get there.
That'd be fun.
Would that be fun?
That would be fun. Let's see where bro goes. He goes Brian Robinson. It's nice to see the name there.
Is that Brian?
Yeah, Brian Robinson already.
Brian Robinson goes at the 101.
Bijan Robinson.
A little bit of a reach for Brian. No, that is Bijan Robinson who goes at the 101. We're big fans of Bijan, obviously. Yes, we believe he is the unquestioned 101. There's not a scenario for me that will happen where he is not the 101. I think he's guaranteed to go in the first round of the NFL draft. So best running back prospects in Saquon Barkley. He can do it all. He's a 3-down workhorse. He can run receiving routes out of the backfield, and he's good at it as well. Good receiver. So I'm a big fan of Bijan. He is one of 2 can't miss prospects for me this year. I like it. I'll take him there. And then CJ Stroud goes at the 102. This is your quarterback one. It's my quarterback too. So why don't you talk about him a little bit? I think you would probably make this move if you're at the 102. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm at the 102, I feel really comfortable with CJ. And I think a lot of people, I guess, compare the whole body of work to what CJ and Bryce have done, which is maybe some people like the mold of what Bryce is, but I like the mold of what CJ is. And Blaze likes the mold of what CJ is as well. So
Blaze is a big fan.
I know. Can you stop, please? Thank you.
Wow.
So yeah, look,
Respectable.
CJ, I know, respectable. She listens. Gotta love Blaze. But yeah, CJ is an overall guy that I think has all the attributes. He doesn't have the rushing upside, but I think he can beat you with his mind. He does have the ability to run out of the pocket and hurt you with his legs, but I think he would rather look down the field first. If you don't know much about CJ, go watch that Georgia game in the playoffs, college playoffs, and I think that's exactly what we can see from CJ coming into the NFL because, I mean, everyone says it, Georgia has this NFL caliber defense, and look what he did to this defense, right? I mean, TCU couldn't do that, barely could do anything. So what CJ did, I think, was phenomenal. In my opinion.
You're right. And I think some people might say don't put so much stock into one game, but I think this is genuinely exactly what NFL scouts are looking for. How do you play versus the best college talent? Because there's going to be a big step when it comes to playing versus NFL talent. So for CJ to go out and have one of probably his best game as a college football quarterback versus the best defense in the nation, not only that, for him to show the complete part of his game, and then also for the next week, for TCU to get absolutely smacked in the mouth.
Exactly. And you can see the difference.
I think you can see NFL scouts I feel like that would change some people's minds, for sure. Now, I have a 1A, 1B. CJ's my B, but I think that game had a lot. That was great for CJ's draft stock.
And I think, obviously, because we already know that Oh well, Gibbs goes. I thought that. I thought
You
Bryce
were
was
about to
gonna
say
go.
it. We know that Bryce is about
Yeah,
to be next.
Bryce is about to go, and like we can just go straight into him and why we didn't, why I wouldn't take
Right.
him, but we can wait. But yeah, Jameer Gibbs off the board here, going to the Saints. I
Yeah.
think it's perfect. You know, whether they get a quarterback in the free agency, whether they stick with, James Winston or Andy Dalton. I think we kind of saw the mold of, like you said, Alvin Kamara and how he can be contributed, and how he contributes to the Saints offense, and how Jameer Gibbs, in my opinion, that's my pro comp,
Yeah.
is Alvin Kamara for Jameer Gibbs, and how he can catch the ball in the backfields and run it between the tackles. And I like everything that Jameer brings. So I like this landing spot personally.
Yeah, no, I like the landing spot as well. The only thing I am a little bit worried about is the coaching staff probably staying intact, because watching Saints games was infuriating last year. I don't understand how that coaching staff kept its job.
Maybe it's
Probably
the
one
offensive
of the
coordinator.
worst jobs this year by a coaching staff, I would say, considering the expectations. Remember, it was like, oh, the Saints are all in. They're going to try and go for the playoffs. And they were in one of the, probably the worst division in football. And just watching the games, it was like, how are these people employed to do their jobs? So Dennis Allen, we've heard he's keeping his job. He's probably keeping on his staff. We don't know. Maybe that will change. But they seem very hard-headed. Like, I need to show you that what I'm doing is right, even though it's been proven to be wrong type of people. So we'll see. But Jameer Gibbs, I love him. The Aaron Jones, for me, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift comps. I've heard the Alvin Kamara. I just think Alvin Kamara is a bigger body, so I don't love that comp as much, but I have seen those comps around, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, this guy's going to give you a lot of upside through the air as well.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm excited to see where if this actually happens. So see where G Money goes. G Money's on the clock. I'm assuming you go to the guy that we were going to talk about, and he doesn't. He goes Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is fair.
I love me some JSN.
Hey, this is kind of opposite where like we saw Bryce go earlier. I was like, last week he fell, Bryce went at the 1-2, and then CJ kind of fell to the 1-5-1-6.
Yeah,
wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, well, Jackson Smith is your guy. Talk to me. He's your wide receiver 1 here.
he is my wide receiver 1. Breakout age at the age of 19. Shared the field with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. But not only those two, he also shared the field with Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka, and he was incredible. And even if you take out the Rose Bowl game last year, he still led that team by more than 10 receptions and more than 200 yards. And yes, you can make the argument that he was playing with a lot of talent, which would have helped him. But, I mean, those targets are earned, I feel like, at Ohio State in that receiving room. You just see studs after studs come out. But incredible route runner. I think it translates really, really well to the NFL. I personally believe he can play on the outside or in the inside. And you don't need speed to be a dominant wide receiver in the NFL. We have seen that before, and we see that in a lot of my pro comps for him, which, again, Keenan Allen, Larry Fitzgerald, Cooper Kupp, Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you look at their 40 times, at least for Keenan, Larry, and Kupp, no one ran under a 4.6. In fact, Keenan was a 4.7. So I think speed is it's not one of the most overrated attributes of a prospect wide receiver, but it's one of the most misvalued, I would say, if that makes sense.
Right.
Great hands as well. 90% contested catch rate in 2021. That is number 1 in the nation for wide receivers who saw at least 55 targets. After the catch, he's incredible. 8.3 yards after the catch per reception. Only Treylon Burks and Jameson Williams were better last year from those big name prospects. So he's a can't miss prospect for me. I love him. I think he's guaranteed to go mid first round, exactly where we saw those Ohio State receivers go last year. And if he does fall, great, because he's in a better landing spot. So he is one of 2 can't miss prospects. Again, Bijan Robinson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I'm a big fan of him here at the 104.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot.
I am going Bryce Young though still. Like, I'm still going Bryce Young over Gibbs and Jackson.
No, yeah, especially in a super flex league. I mean, it looks like you're gonna go and have the opportunity to take him. My wide receiver 1 here, Quentin Johnson. I'll give you guys a little snippet here. He goes to the Carolina Panthers, not the place that I love, but I still believe he could contribute there. He's a wide receiver 1, 6'4", 215 pounds. Has already clocked apparently a 4.40, and I won't be surprised if he hits the high 4.3s. I think he's a dual guy. Imagine having, the quick twitchiness, in my opinion, of the way people are explaining and believing in Jackson Smith and Jigba and being a slot receiver. I think Quentin Johnson can do that. He just has the size. I think he has all those attributes that Jackson Smith and Jigba does. I think he just has the size and the attributes that can kind of take him to the next level and be a threat on the outside in different ways. Not saying that he's better. Not saying that I'm not saying that he's not better, but I'm saying that, I think they compare really well with each other when you think of the attributes. Quentin Johnson just has the size, the speed, the spin move, and everything in between. So I really like him here. To the Panthers, though, I still believe it, but they need to do something about this quarterback. Can Tom go? I doubt Tom's going to go there. Can Derek Carr go there? Can Jordan Love go there?
Derek Carr, maybe, yeah.
Can somebody else besides Sam Darnold and whoever else is on that
You're getting
team?
Sam Darnold, and you're going to like it.
No, please. I'd rather have Derek Carr any time of the day. Please, I beg you. Yeah. Just get DC if you do draft Quentin Johnson.
Yeah. I see someone hyping up Jordan Addison in the chat, and we will tell you why we don't believe in him as much as you when he is picked, because I think it's a good conversation to have. Yeah. Pants off. I agree, Scary Hours. Pants completely off at the 106. I cannot believe I am sitting here at the 106 and Bryce Young is on the board. The number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, probably the number 1 whenever the Bears do inevitably trade out. I would be surprised if they didn't. But I get the number 1 pick in the NFL's eyes, and in my eyes, the number 1 quarterback in a super flex league at the 106. I don't know why you guys are letting me do this. You made it way too easy on me. I've heard, obviously, the concerns about Bryce Young's size. I get it. He is undersized. We have seen very few players like this who have succeeded at their craft with his size, but he has succeeded versus the best defenses in college football for multiple years in the SEC. We've seen him versus the best, and every time he's versus the best, he wins versus the best. Now he's going into the NFL. I've seen some people not compare them as players, but as scenarios when Steph Curry entered the NBA. Different type of mold for what the NBA wanted, and some people missed out on him. Again, different players, different sport. I've seen it. I like the correlation, but I'm a big fan of Bryce Young. When you look at the modern day NFL, we're looking at the ideal quarterback. It's just the size. If Bryce Young was 6'4" and let's say, 30 pounds heavier, he would be the best prospect. He would be in the talks with the Trevor Lawrences as a prospect. That's how good he is in every other part of his game. Great processor, great improviser, good accuracy, can make every NFL throw. And yeah, I'll go ahead and take him here. I know he lands with the Texans. I
like that spot.
Believe that the Texans would go wide receiver at 12. So I know that they didn't in this scenario. Did they potentially go wide receiver anywhere else down the board? Let's see. No, this feels okay. They got Parker Washington. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Parker Washington, you put in the slot. We like Parker. Nico, maybe Brandon Cooks. You convince him to stay. Who knows?
Still no home run hitting wide receiver though. It's just it's okay.
We have seen quarterbacks. It takes a year. You get your star, and then you kind of develop into that star that we think you could be. So I'll take Bryce here. I feel like it's a gift at the 106.
Yeah, agreed.
No doubt.
I feel pretty confident of, the Texans hopefully getting they're an appealing team. 2 first-round picks in the top 15. I think they can definitely make a good move here. Let's see.
Okay, Boutte goes off the board.
Booty.
I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch our Badake and I do a back and forth mock draft. We just released that as a video today, and it has really done well. Like it's been really well received. There's always like 1 or 2 comments here. What can you do? But go watch that if you like. We talk about Kayshon Boutte, but I personally believe that this is a player where I am seeing other people in the community who are putting him like mid to late second round in their rookie drafts. We're kidding ourselves. You have a chance to get, I know it was disappointing, the off-field issues, not the best teammate, struggled on the field to not show his frustrations, but we're talking about in this class, you, myself, Badake, and even your mother last year at this time had Kayshon Boutte as probably the wide receiver 1 in this class, okay, talent-wise. I understand it didn't go right for him this year, new coaching staff, there was some talks about him potentially transferring, So I know that there are some concerns, but you have a chance at the 1-7. This feels like where he should go. Okay, I think this is where he should start to be going off the board. Now, we have seen him again, like I said, mid-second is where we're seeing him. That is ridiculous. He is 100% a first-round pick in my eyes. I think he'll go at minimum where George Pickens went, around the 110 to 112. And it reminds me of George Pickens last year, because I love George Pickens last year. The talent was obviously there on film, and people decided not to draft him because of off-field issues, because the production wasn't there. And now he lands on the Chiefs at the end of the first round. Boutte is that type of dominant talent where I liked Sky Moore. I thought he was more of like a wide receiver 2 on a team. Boutte is that type of dominant talent that could really be the next generation, the next alpha on the Kansas City Chiefs. He could be that person who takes the next step and helps the Chiefs kind of turn into that dominant offense, even though they already are. But he could be that wide receiver 1 for them, where Sky Moore can kind of serve more as a complement moving forward. So I love this here at the 107. Like, extreme talent in the open field. Great speed. Probably runs a 4.38. Pretty good as a route runner. Great after the catch. Will smack you in the mouth. Debo, shades a little bit. Treylon shades a little bit. I love this at the 107. I don't think this is crazy to take him over Addison personally.
No, I don't think it's crazy at all, especially going, like, everything you said, going with Patrick Mahomes is going to be a massive contributor there. I think it's pretty clear that he's going to surpass Sky Moore, everyone that's on that team, McCole Harmon, all these guys, right? And it's unfortunate for someone like Sky Moore, especially if you invested in him in the first round last year. It's just unlucky,
Yeah.
It's just going to be an unlucky, unfortunate circumstance. But just know that is a real possibility that the Chiefs could get somebody else, because Juju, even though he did contribute, he clearly is not the answer. Yeah, and
he's not the long-term answer for sure.
Yeah, I don't see them re-signing him personally.
So Boutte, I think he's locked into the first round. Personally, I feel like if Boutte is available when the Cowboys pick, I'm struggling to see a scenario where he's not a Cowboy, but you're a Cowboy, baby. Okay, let's see what Tiz does here at the 108. But yeah, if anything this offseason, I want this channel to be known for the channel that puts some respect back on Kayshon Boutte's name. Okay, there Anthony Richardson goes off the board. I don't think that's crazy at all. I mean, 108, great rushing upside. So these quarterbacks go back to back here. Do you want to talk about Anthony Richardson, Will Levis?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are the two guys that we are like, what the hell's gonna happen? They both have tremendous upside. They both have really good arm talent. They both can utilize their legs. Anthony Richardson really only had 1 year of film, and Will Levis had his whole career, but they're kind of both on the same trajectory. They're both on the same level of, okay, who's gonna be more talented? And it's unfortunate Will Levis, kind of struggled. I believe if you go look at, his 2022 film, he was very limited in that offense. Anthony Richardson still going through the growing pains, right? So I think this is pretty fair at the 108, 109, good upside here. Anthony Richardson going here to your Washington football team, which I hope they change their name soon with them reselling.
Yeah, I'm so excited that they're selling. Excited.
Will Levis going to the Raiders, which I feel confident in. McDaniels.
These are two good landing spots.
Yeah, I like the Raiders. Maybe you get Devontae Adams, a vet wide receiver that kind of maybe can help him in some sort of
he's already got Renfro. Renfro just wasn't healthy.
Yeah,
you got Renfro, you got Waller. That's a good landing spot there. I mean, the offensive line is growing. You probably re-sign Josh Jacobs. He wants to be a Raider. Anthony Richardson, though, I think this is a great landing spot as well. I mean, talk about weapons at your disposal. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson in the backfield, Antonio Gibson, who is turning into a really good, Tony Pollard type role for that team. So, I mean, that's a good landing spot as well. Hopefully there's new ownership already, so we have competent people running the organization at that time. But yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. You will find channels out there right now who are saying Anthony Richardson is the 2nd overall pick in these drafts. Will Levis is the 3rd overall pick in these drafts. And we absolutely 100% respect where they're coming from. I just think you have to weigh the risk versus reward with these type of prospects. I'm personally Richardson over Levis, and I hear a lot of people talk about Levis as if he's in the same position as Richardson. This prospect with all the raw materials but just hasn't had enough playing time. That's just not exactly true. Richardson has had 1 year of playing, and I believe he's going to be 23 years old? I can't remember, but he's 2 years younger than Will Levis. Will Levis has had multiple years in college football. He didn't improve in his second year. I know that there's outside factors there, but for me, the part that really I'm always hung up about Will is his inability to read a defense. We just did not see that, and I want someone who is going to be the 7th overall pick in the NFL draft. I want him to have elevated his team in ways where we didn't see Will do that. Now, maybe I'm being too harsh on him. Offensive line was terrible, didn't have good weapons. He was injured most of the season, but still, if someone's going to be a top 7 pick in the NFL draft, I would have liked to have seen them elevate their team more. And last year, we look at the film, I just felt like it was Wan'Dale's open. Okay, get him the ball. If he's not, let me run it. So I like Richardson more as if you're going for a project guy who you need a couple years to develop. He's younger, less time as a starter, and I think he has more of the complete superstar package between the two, especially fantasy wise. I mean, you're looking at potential if he starts day one for the Commanders, maybe a 800-yard rushing first year as a rookie potential.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If you didn't know how Zach Wilson performed in the NFL, Zach Wilson or Will Levis, just based off talent, based off what they showed on film and how they kind of came into college.
Zach Wilson.
I mean the NFL. Okay.
If we're talking about purely prospects, coming into the NFL,
pure prospects,
it would be so easy for someone right now to be like, Will Levis for sure, Zach Wilson's trash. I mean, people like Zach Wilson before the draft. I would say at that point, if I'm honest with myself, I would have chosen Zach Wilson.
Okay, that's fair. I'm trying to think. I think I would go Kenny Pickett over Will Levis. I think that would be fairly easy in my opinion.
Oh, same. I didn't know that was an option.
No, I know. What about Malik? Because we were hoping Malik would go in the first, right? And I feel like this is kind of the thought process of where Will Levis is right now. Okay, Malik had all these years, didn't have crazy weapons, didn't have crazy offensive line, but he had the attributes, right? So is it Malik or Will? Is this the level that you're kind of seeing Will Levis right now at? Is where Malik, with the information that we know about Malik.
Yeah, he's a better prospect than Malik Willis was, and faced more difficult competition. I think we all probably overvalued Malik because of the type of fantasy quarterback he could have been if everything went right.
Right.
And I think there are some genuine concerns with Will. I think the concerns are a little bit different, but yeah, Malik was a huge miss, and you have to. At this time last year, it wasn't crazy for Malik Willis to be mock drafted in the first round. No, and I think that's where you're bringing the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that's exactly what's going to happen to somebody. It's going to happen to AR. It's going to happen to Will Levis, to where one of these guys is going to fall and not get the draft capital that we want, and then we're panicking. It's like shit. Like I was hoping to get at least one of these guys in the middle to end of the first round, right? And I think that's I think that's where this could go, where somebody's gonna fall and we're not gonna be ready for it.
Yeah.
As fantasy
if I had
owners.
to choose, again, it's my own personal bias, right? If I had to choose who that person is, for me, it's Will Levis, because again, I think if NFL scouts sit down and look at the film, this guy's had 2 years to be a full-time starter, and he's not a young quarterback coming into the NFL. If you talk about untapped potential from a young prospect, he is still young. But you know what I mean? Like, if someone slides, I feel like it's him.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the NFL views him versus the NFL draft analyst community. I just don't know how they view him. Whereas Richardson is, to me, he's not even close to the same as Malik, I guess. Malik was a starter for 2 years. He had, he was a starter at times at Auburn before he transferred to Liberty. Different competition, older player coming out. Richardson's a very young player. We see all the traits, just hasn't really had much starting time. So, if I had to choose someone, it's Will. But you guys know my biases by now. So
I know. I just wanted to create the conversation because I think people are wondering, like, should I even invest in Will, or maybe should I invest in somebody that's in the NFL? Like I'm seeing in the chat, like I saw the name
exactly what ATJ is saying is exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Difference between Malik had way more time, I think, is what he wants, an opportunity to improve as a player. We could just be scratching the surface with Richardson for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's so many people that ask the questions like maybe Will is not going to have the best opportunity with the draft capital. Maybe I should invest in in one of these guys that are struggling right now, but I can see a massive jump, you know?
Yeah.
So that's
JT,
my
I,
thought process.
I saw that report, Sam Howell starting in 2023. That was from a Twitter account that has not exactly been the most reliable source of information. So just be careful. I mean, maybe he gets a shot. I think if you're looking at Washington right now, you're a quarterback away from really competing in the playoffs. And I'm not so sure that you're just like, yeah, we're going to give it to Sam. I think you bring in competition personally. We'll see what it looks like, though. So, yeah, let's see. You're up here at the 110. What are you thinking? I feel like it's an obvious decision.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's Jordan Addison.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk about him now.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were really liking Jordan Addison and who he is and the prospect that he can be. But I think there's a lot of things that he can improve on. And I saw a lot of people comparing him. They said the next Devonta Smith, like he said, Addison route running is so underrated. It's wild. Next Devonta Smith. We love Devonta Smith. We think Devonta Smith is a better prospect than Jordan Addison. I think it's a good, fair pro comp to his highest potential of what
I would say
Devonta
even size-wise alone, it's a good comp.
Yeah, and to what he could potentially be. But I think we need to look at the thought process of, can he actually carry and be the I don't think he'll be the wide receiver 1. I think he's a complimentary wide receiver 2. And Zach sees it as a little bit different. But for me, I think he does.
No, not really.
Okay, I think he is going to contribute, Jordan Addison.
Yes.
I just think that he's going to get drafted in a place like the Packers, to where like he's going to expect it to be the wide receiver 1. But I think there's going to be more wide receiver 2 of an outlook. But there's a lot of things he needs to improve on. You know what? I don't know if you want to.
I'll talk about Addison a little bit. I'll address some of the things that were said in the chat. And, you know, again, I don't want this to come off as we don't like Jordan Addison, because we do. I like Jordan Addison. He's my wide receiver 3 in the class. If Boutte goes to the Chiefs, that might push me over the edge to go Boutte. But I do like Jordan Addison. I think the Devonta Smith, personally, the player comps, I don't like them. I like it only from their size and their limitations with their strength. That is the only part of that comp that I personally like. I don't like any other part of that comp, because Devonta Smith coming out of college was a very good contested catcher, and he had proven that he could fight through defenders, like through contact. He could make those kind of catches. He could be that potential alpha. And we talk about route running from Addison. You're right. Addison is an incredible route runner. He is truly in the category of the Olaves, of the Garrett Wilsons. However, he does not possess the strength and the ability to fight off press coverage that some of those wide receivers have shown, I think, including Devonta Smith, you could say right now as well. If you put on Jordan Addison's highlights, you'll see great route running. You'll see him in open space, but you'll probably see a lot of zone coverage. You'll see a lot of empty spaces, free releases off the line of scrimmage. But try and find the film where Jordan Addison is actually facing press coverage, because that is a little bit of a different story. He genuinely struggles off the line of scrimmage versus bigger bodies. He doesn't have that strength to hand fight off the line of scrimmage, and that impacts his ability to get open at any point of the route. If a bigger body guy is in man-to-man press coverage and they're kind of trying to do that hand fighting, which we see very often in the NFL, and it's kind of like the let them play type defense, he struggles in those scenarios. He does struggle to get open. I think the size is not only a concern with his route running, but it's also a concern after the catch. And after the catch, I wasn't impressed. And, you know, if a defender got his hand on Addison after the catch, most of the times Addison was going down. Wasn't exactly the most elusive guy in the open field. And it's confusing because as a route runner, he has the head fakes, he has the twitchiness, but then in the open field, he doesn't have a calling card to go to make a man miss in the open field. If it's one-on-one and the defender gets his hand on him, most of the time he is being taken down. It's just there's a real lack of physical strength and physicality to his game, which could impact him when he's facing press coverage in the NFL. And again, to add to the strength concerns, as a contested catcher, which you want your one to at minimum be good in contested catch scenarios, he was dreadful in contested catch scenarios, which is not the case for Devonta Smith in college. If you look at wide receivers who had 55 targets this year, Jordan Addison had a 22.2% contested catch rate. That is 206th in college football. I think like 250 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And you see it on film. You see the struggles in traffic. You see the inconsistent hands. Now, again, I love the route running, but the route running looks a lot better in press coverage and or in zone and free releases than it does versus press. But again, we like him. I personally think he can be an elite wide receiver 2 on an NFL offense with wide receiver 1 upside. I think there's a chance he can become a wide receiver 1, but I think it's more likely that he is one of those elite 2s in the NFL, like the Devonta Smiths of the world. Now, again, it's not a perfect comp. I more like the Tyler Lockett comps, the Robert Woods comps, and that sounds disrespectful, but it's really not, because they were great fantasy assets, and they have been great fantasy assets. And hopefully he's in a scenario where they're like Christian Watson, right? That's the exact scenario we want, where he has a complementary, a big body guy that he can complement.
Exactly.
So this is a great landing spot for him. I love this landing spot, but as a prospect, there are genuine concerns, and we have felt this way for months, and we're now starting to see already in the NFL draft, like people who analyze players and who do mock drafts and draft analysts, we're already seeing a dip in Addison's projected draft capital. We're already seeing it slowly come down. He was at one point the 8th overall player in people's big boards. Now he's fallen down to the 15 to 20 range. And I think it's just because people actually start to put on the entire film and they're saying, this is an incredible wide receiver 2 to complement a big body that I have, but I'm not so sure. Okay, Rylan, thank you for the sub. But I'm not so sold on him being the true alpha that I'm looking for in my offense. So it's just, I don't want to be the people who don't like him, but I can't also ignore what we see when we watch film.
Yeah, I think he's gonna come in and definitely be a problem. I just think we need to limit ourselves to how much of a problem he's going to be. Yeah. That's all I'm saying, in my opinion.
I mean, he's my wide receiver 3. You know, like I really do like him.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 3 as well. You know,
I just can't. I can't put him over some of these other talents, unfortunately. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys kind of get where we're coming from.
You know what I think of?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of this person, and I'm thinking of the production, not like the talent in the route, or just in general, just the production. I think of what Calvin Ridley was to Julio.
Sure.
That's what I think he can do.
I liked Calvin Ridley as a comp before I put on the film.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the production that Jordan Addison can bring to a team with a true wide receiver 1, I believe is what he can do. What Calvin Ridley did for Julio in his first couple years, right?
Yeah.
That's how I see it happening. But I mean, you know, Calvin kind of emerged and became the one, and all this other stuff, you know.
Yeah. Is there a scenario we should take Richardson over Bryce? I don't think so. I just think there's safer floors with those other 2 players, but I have seen people do that for sure. It is not one quarterback. It is super flex, but we are personally surprised by the quarterbacks falling. Like, I couldn't believe that I got Bryce at the 106. Definitely not how we would have done it, but that's just kind of how it fell. And, you know, that's going to happen in your leagues, in your home leagues, guys. I mean, you will not be able to find, or, oh, wow. You will not be able to predict how a draft goes. Rashee Rice, one of my favorite sleepers, now being drafted in the first round. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Everything is up for grabs here. Let's see, where did Rice go?
He went to the Bears.
To the Bears, you're right. In the second round. I have him projected. Sorry?
He's not this high for me.
Yeah, I still view him as like an early second to mid second in a rookie draft type pick. There are some running backs I'm probably taking over him, but I am a big fan of Rashee Rice. I believe he's my wide receiver 6 in this year's class, so I'm not all that far off here. I just think it might be a little bit too early. And as much as I love Justin Fields, I'm not so sure that this is like the perfect landing spot either for Rice. There are other landing spots I probably prefer, even though I want all the help to come to Justin Fields this offseason. But yeah, I did love Rice's game. Size, versatility, contested catch ability, really good after the catch. As far as a versatile weapon, check this out. 90% in the slot as a junior. Had a great season. And then as a senior, he plays 82.5% out wide. I mean, just showing the versatility as a player. Yes, at SMU, different competition, but has a versatility. Needs to work a little bit on the mental drops. You definitely see that in his game. Needs to expand the route tree a little bit, but as a physical specimen, this guy is special. I'm not saying like Kayshon Boutte special, but you know, that kind of, does he have the dog in him, if you will. 6'3", 206. I compared him a little bit like Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, and these aren't guys who were drafted in the first round. They were, I believe, third-round picks, both of those guys. So I can see some similarities in how they could become stars in the NFL. So, and my floor for him is like a Pierre Garçon type player. Big fan of Rashee Rice. Huge fan of his. Although this is probably a little too early. Probably.
Yeah, it's a little bit too early. I'm not as high on Rashid. I like the talent. I think there's other talent there that I believe could contribute high. I think he's my wide receiver 9 or 10 right now on the list. But I don't love the landing spot, but I think where he can go and be, he can definitely contribute somewhere else outside of the Bears, because the Bears need a true wide receiver 1. They don't have that now.
Sure.
And Rashid, maybe he could emerge to be a true wide receiver 1, but that's not where I'm projecting him to be. I think he's a very complimentary why a wide receiver that's going to come in and help.
And they got Chase Claypool.
Yeah, Chase. I mean, people like Chase.
That was a terrible pick, man. That was a terrible pick. Hey, thank you so much for the sub, Drew. Yo, Daddy. Thank you for the sub, man. All right, guys, we're about to get here to the 112. Can you do us a huge favor? If you have yet to drop a like, can you like the stream?
You like that?
If you like it. If you like the content, if you like the videos we're putting out, do us a massive favor and drop a like. We're almost at 100 with 190 people watching. I mean, we could get to 150 real quick if everyone just drops a like.
We appreciate you guys.
Why do we ask you guys to drop a like? I know it might be frustrating to hear, but that is genuinely one of the few ways that you can help us grow organically, is by dropping a like, being a part of the videos, commenting in the chat. So, you know, it might be frustrating, but we're genuinely just saying, hey, if you want to support the work, this is one of the easiest ways to help the algorithm, to help people find us, to help us grow the community. So let's go ahead and get to the 112 here, which I think this could be... Okay, there goes Josh Downs off the board. That's one of your guys. I don't know if you want to talk about him.
Yeah, Josh Downs, a guy that I love. Hey, he has some hands, baby. I just love everything that he can do and that he can be. I do believe he's going to be more of a slot wide receiver, but a guy that has a super high contested catch rate with 72.2%. I think is phenomenal for a guy that's 6'5" or 6'10", 175 pounds. You're telling me a guy that's 175 pounds is going up there catching the ball, contesting the catch against guys that are what, 6'1", 6'2"?
Hey, thank you so much for the sub.
Bodying people, and I love that everything he can do. I think he can be a great contributor. Another fast guy. I think he'll run like mid 4.4s potentially, which I think was really good for a slot receiver. But overall speed is great. The route running, I do believe, is great. I think coming off the line, getting separation out the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
And he's twitchy. You know, quick twitchiness. He can manipulate defenders. And he can adjust to the ball in all levels. So I love Josh Downs. I think, especially here, if I'm not mistaken, he goes to the Browns. A field stretcher.
He does, yeah.
A field stretcher, a guy that can play the slot, that's going to get invested in the second round over David Bell, which is unfortunate for him. But Josh Downs would be a perfect slot wide receiver for someone like a Deshaun Watson. So I love everything that he's doing.
This landing spot a lot, and I think it makes sense, but it would definitely be really, it would be potentially game over for a guy like David Bell. Not to say that it absolutely would, but it probably would be. And they don't have a lot of capital to invest in wide receivers, so it's a good spot for Downs. I'm probably a little bit too low on him, but we'll see. Again, draft capital, there's a couple wide receivers I like better as far as just film. So we'll see what draft capital looks like, and I might have to move him up a little bit. But yeah, let's see what happens here at the 201. Just before we get there, guys, do us a favor, go ahead and drop us a follow on Twitter if you guys are over there. And if you are part of the Twitter sphere, if you will, I do little giveaways, not giveaways, but like competitions for you to get into mock drafts. It's quite simple. All you gotta do is retweet, and then I find a random person. I'm also dropping film evaluation on my page, so you can see some film from the players that we talk about. Devin Kane. I talk about some other players there as well. I mean, it's been a while since I put film up, but I'm going to continue to do so. Zach Evans, Sean Tucker, and really because we can't put film on YouTube or it gets demonetized.
Yeah, again, it gets demonetized.
So consider giving us a follow over there on Twitter. We do have a Patreon if you want to be a part of the community. We will drop Dynasty rookie rankings for positions. We will drop Dynasty Superflex rookie rankings that will continually be updated. We will be dropping rookie profiles where we, have actual individual profiles on these players. You have access to the fantasy hotline where you can ask us questions. There's a lot of different things that are coming out here soon, including an all-time tier list where we kind of rank these prospects from previous classes versus each other. I'm really excited about adding that this year to Patreon. I think it's a great resource, and I think a lot of people could say that as well from our community. So huge love. Let's go ahead and start here at the 201 and see what happens. Was deciding between Downs and Zach Charbonnet there, he says, and there goes Charbonnet off the board. I'm a big fan of Charbonnet. He is now officially my RB3 in the class. I think what really put me over the top is his ability to improve as a pass catcher this year. He was already incredible as a runner. Like, as a pure runner, he was great. Angry runner in the open field, good vision, consistently finding open lanes, strength, contact balance. But he improved drastically as a receiver this year, which was one of his big goals. So he probably is still a first and second down running back, but he has the upside to be a true 3-down workhorse. And kind of similar to one of my comps, like a James Conner. I think that is possible for him to kind of develop his game in the way that we saw James Conner. But at minimum, you're looking at a floor of like a Jamal Williams, Deonta Foreman, Latavius Murray. That might sound disrespectful. It's not meant to be, but I think he can be a very special player in the NFL and someone who leads a backfield from day one when he gets drafted.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like Zach Charbonnet. I like the body type. I like the build. Not necessarily in love with the speed. I do have someone else higher, and I think that was because the overall mold, I think I like a little bit better. But Zach Charbonnet does have the opportunity to be, a workhorse, first and second down, technically a third down guy with the pass catching ability. Does he have the speed to be the third down guy? Probably not. But he's a good blocker, a decent blocker as well. So I think hopefully we can kind of see him take that to the next level. Going into the NFL, he's my RB4 in the class, right behind somebody else, which I'm assuming should get drafted here very soon. Yeah,
I assume those backs will go off the board. I think you'll probably see a run of running backs, probably from the late first to the early second. 111 to 2, 4, 5. You'll see a pretty big run of running backs here in your drafts.
Where did Charbonnet go in this mock here?
Charbonnet went to,
I think it was the Cardinals.
Cardinals, which we love that landing spot. I mean, my comp for him was James Conner. I think he probably takes that job by the end of the season as a rookie. QJ Scares Me Drusive says, we're trying to keep up with you guys in the chat. Thanks for having convos here. Do y'all see Kevin White? We've heard that. I personally think that QJ is a better prospect after the catch than Kevin White was. But I understand some of the concerns. He is he has that potential to any prospect has potential to bust for sure. We will do a Q&A at the end, guys, for some of these more specific questions. Charbonnet can catch. He uses his hands and makes catches away from his body. He'll be an asset like Ramondre. Okay, I don't hate that. Yeah, I think he's a better prospect than Ramondre, but I get where you're coming from as far as like what he can be. For an offense for sure. Charbonnet reminds me of Brian. I don't like Brian. I know Badake does, so maybe Badake likes that comp. But
I like Brian Robinson. I think he has a do-it-all more profile than Brian Robinson, in my opinion.
Right. I agree. Zach Evans off the board here at the 202. So we finally see some Zach Evans respect.
Goes to the Miami Dolphins here in the third
on
round.
This chat. And I said to you in a video, Badake, because last time Zach Evans went to the Rams and no one wanted to draft him in our mock draft on our live stream. And I remember what I said to you in the video we released yesterday. I said, watch Zach Evans go to the Dolphins, and there's no way he falls. It's a perfect landing spot for any one of these running backs, honestly. Charbonnet, Tucker, Evans, we don't care who it is. It is a perfect landing spot for one of these running backs to come in and be an instant day one impactful fantasy asset. I'm a big fan of Zach Evans. He is currently tied as my RB4, and that is with another running back that I know that Badake loves as well. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. Obviously, we've talked about him ad nauseum on the channel. But I personally feel like we're in a space right now where it's like the cool thing to not like Zach Evans. Like it's like, oh yeah, you're low on Zach. Me too, man. I don't like that guy's trash. Like I feel like it's just like he's like the cool one to not like right now. Like, oh, like you don't like him either? Yeah, man, me too. I don't like Zach Evans.
Yeah.
I just think like that's the cool way to go about it at the moment. But I see a lot of Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon in his game. I think he is likely a first and second down starting running back, but I think he has the workhorse upside. He didn't do a lot in the air, but again, a lot of that was unfortunately out of his control. Transfer from TCU to Ole Miss. I love the TCU film. I see a little bit of vision concerns with the Ole Miss film, and I think that's what eventually led me to bring him down to my RB4 rather than my 3. But as far as an athlete, this dude is a freak athlete in my mind. Great burst, pretty good long run speed, not afraid of contact. In fact, he'll initiate it if he wants to. Good on the goal line, which you want to see from one of these guys who you project to have that kind of role. Good size and frame, 6 foot 215. If you're looking on Twitter and someone tells you he's 190 pounds, I don't know what to tell you. Stop going on Twitter for information. I literally was seeing it quite often around Twitter last week. So I tweeted out about it. I was like, I don't know where you guys are getting this 190 pounds nonsense, or why it maybe just fits people's narrative because they don't like Zach Evans. But he is 215. PFF has him at 215. ESPN has him at 215. You don't trust those sites? How about his own college? Do you trust Ole Miss to get his weight right? Because Ole Miss on their website has him at 215. Again, I just think people are finding things that they dislike about him right now and just kind of like piling on him as a prospect. But I still like him, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the NFL. I think he could end up being a real value in Dynasty rookie drafts as well as startup drafts.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. I just want to make this clear. Which I'm not saying you are. I feel like I've been off the Zach Evans train since the beginning of 2022, because I mean we have a video and that's dated. Where I was like, I had Zach Evans hella lower. Zach had him like top 3, top 4. I had him in like my 6-7 range. He has gone up. He is my RB5 at the moment. So there are a couple of people still above him. I think he's more of a role player coming out, and I want to be proven wrong because I see it feels a bit pressury, you know. There's so many people that love Zach Evans.
No, there's
right. I guess maybe that's
people don't even have him in their top 10 anymore.
Okay, so
I'm telling you, like it's a cool thing around the community right now to be like, I don't like Zach Evans. You are in the majority. I promise you.
Maybe I'm not indulged too much in, you know, the community and in the sense of where Zach Evans is. But for me right now, I think it's to a point where like there was a point in time where everyone loved him, and now I'm like, oh, he's okay. You know, like I don't think he's going to be irrelevant. I think he will have a good role, but he's not a home run hit that a lot of people, I guess, kind of like what you are somehow alluding to in a way. Like you said, he could be a first and second down guy. I don't think he can. I think he's more, once again, of a role player, a pass catching guy, even though we didn't see much of that. But I think he could be the third down guy that catches the ball, you know, on a screen play, whatever, like a Matt Breida. Maybe that's what it is. Wow, maybe it just clicked in my mind.
I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not saying the comp. I'm saying the comp in production of what he could be to a team, which once again is not necessarily a lot, but that's my thought process. I could be wrong, and I probably will be proven wrong, because I do believe he's talented. He has the speed, he has the quick agility and everything, but I just don't see the overall package in my opinion.
You and I have I don't think there's a player we have discussed more and disagreed with more for the past year in Dynasty than Zach Evans. And 100%. We'll find out, you know, what happens. He was my RB3, Drew, but again, when I went into more depth on this running back class, which I just finished, and there will be a video this week with my top 10. I know people were asking for that after the wide receiver video. He is now my RB4. So I did move him down 1. I think Charbonnet is a more complete running back. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Evans and Tucker. But sorry, Evans in general. I personally, you don't feel that in the community? It's like the cool thing right now to dislike this guy.
I haven't looked too much at what the community thinks of Zach Evans. Everything that I've seen of Zach Evans, like throughout the season, has been Zach Evans is the guy. Zach Evans we love. Why isn't he getting more opportunity? Because of Quinshaw Junkins. I don't know how to say his name.
Judkins,
and then and then that kind of conversation started to come.
Oh
But then
my gosh, yeah.
but then I still see him in the top 3. Like I could pull it up on Twitter where it was like, okay, Zach Evans is my RB3. Zach Evans is my, you know, and I'm like, well, I don't see him that high.
At minimum, we can agree that he is the most, like Moses splits the Red Sea. That's Zach Evans right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Zach Evans is splitting the Red Sea. You're for him or you're against him.
I guess you're right. Maybe I'm in the middle because I have my RB5s, which I guess I'm kind of in.
Okay, that's higher than I thought you would have him.
Yeah,
because you didn't have him that high before this season,
no,
so something would have changed.
No, I didn't. I was like, he's definitely gotten better and he has improved. There are things that I still believe he can improve in. I just don't see him as the home run guy. I think he's a good complementary running back. You know, he's just somebody that's going to come in and relieve. And I mean, a Tony Pollard role, you know, a Kareem Hunt role. He's not going to be a full-on guy. I did say Matt Breida earlier. Maybe that's a little bit too low. Because I'm trying to think of an opportunity, a time where Matt Breida had a full opportunity as a second guy. But I'm seeing Tony Pollard. I'm seeing Kareem Hunt. I'm seeing what maybe Darrell Henderson was when Cam Akers was there last year. You know, like I'm seeing that role. He's not a full workload guy. He's just gonna be a mid-tier running back in my opinion. Okay, but I'm happy to get proved to be wrong here.
There's not been a single year, which we've only done this for a couple of years, but there's not been a single year where we haven't disagreed on a certain prospect. So
sure.
I mean, maybe this is just one of them this year, and we'll find out what happens with him. Draft capital will be interesting. I want all the people out there who don't like Zach Evans, let me know right now in the comments. If Zach Evans goes to the Dolphins in the 2nd or 3rd round, I think changing your tune? Changing your tune? Don't switch up on me when he goes to the Dolphins.
I'm gonna switch up and be like, shit, he going to the Dolphins. That's literally the most ideal landing spot. It's the most wide open landing spot in the running back position.
This is all I ask, though. This is all I ask because unless Zach Evans ends up as like a 5th round pick or like a late 4th, I'm gonna stick to my guns on him. Now I want other people to stick to their guns when they didn't like him. That's all I'm asking. Just stick to your guns. If you weren't a guy, you weren't a guy, and that's okay. And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna hold my hands up and say, hey, I missed the mark.
That's fair. Let me throw some other teams out.
Okay.
In curiosity. So Jamal Williams leaves, goes to the Lions.
Love the Lions as a spot for him.
Okay. Antonio Gibson leaves, he goes to your team.
Gibson's got a little more. I would hate that landing spot just because I don't think Zach Evans suits a role there. I don't think that would make sense.
That's fair. Obviously Kareem Hunt's a free agent. He goes to the Browns behind Chubb.
I don't hate that.
Okay.
I don't hate that. I don't think it makes sense. Again, because that's not what I view him as a prospect.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I understand. Like I see him going to like the Colts and being a good reliever for John Taylor.
Okay.
You know, I see him going to the Bengals being like a Samaje Perine type role, right? I'm trying to think of another team. I mean, that's really the only teams I can think of. What if he goes to the Texans behind Dameon Pierce and he's split?
He wouldn't be behind Dameon Pierce though.
Okay,
that's what's funny. He's a better prospect than Dameon Pierce.
That's fair. Okay.
I'll put all my eggs in that basket. That if he falls onto the Texans, it's not Dameon Pierce as a workhorse anymore. It's at minimum it's a split backfield.
I think that's the only team. I mean, that's the only teams I can see right now. Him going to.
Yeah.
How about this? About this? Behind Ken Walker.
Oh, that's awful. Of course, because like the role I envision for him, he's not proven to be a good pass catcher. So. Okay. Which is one of the reasons I had to move him down a little bit. No, that's awful.
That's fair.
I mean, you put him on the Chargers. I like that because he can do what Josh Kelly is doing, but actually make it a true 50% role as Eckler ages.
Right.
You put him in Tampa Bay, I think he takes over for Rachaad White, and Rachaad White becomes the pass-catching weapon there. You put him in Atlanta, I think he overtakes Tyler Algier.
I would think so as well. I would argue with Dameon Pierce. But, you know, I mean, even Ramondre Stevenson, like, does he go behind Ramondre?
Ramondre Stevenson is interesting because I see a scenario in which they become a true 50% workload, but Zach Evans gets more of the first, second down work. This is, I mean, we have a video coming out about Ramondre. I'm curious to see the backlash on that from people, but
Yeah, I think there's just so many scenarios. That's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, the running back market is crazy, and I think there's so many scenarios where I don't see him being the workload, unless it has to be perfect. Unless like someone's gone, there's nobody there. That's how, like, I can see him going to the Panthers and them giving him a chance, right? Like, I can 100% see that. I can see him going to the Falcons, like you said, giving him a chance. But I think
the Panthers would be awesome.
Yeah, I see him going to every other team. Is like, well, I don't see him surpassing those players. Like, I don't see him surpassing Dameon Pierce right now.
Sure, I mean that's just the reality of the running back room
for
this
sure.
Off season. I mean, honestly, this will sound crazy and people will hate this. I don't think Dalvin Cook has much left. So
for sure, like
he goes to Minnesota in the third. By the end of the season, is Dalvin Cook truly the workhorse there? I don't think so. And again, people probably won't like that. There will be backlash, but I don't see the same Dalvin Cook this year anymore, personally.
Watch him go to the Giants and like just be like, okay, well, Saquon Barkley's not getting re-signed. We got Zach Evans. What the heck?
Guys will re-sign.
Yeah,
Saquon.
I think we'll re-sign.
That would be worst case scenario, I think, in my eyes. San Francisco or the Giants would be worst case scenario.
Those are the two teams that feel like solidified in the running back room. In my Ken Walker feels pretty good in my opinion, and Brees, but that's another conversation because I have my video. We're doing individual videos, and my video is going to be about the running back market.
Yeah, I see Tim's question. If Evans is so good, how did a freshman outproduce him? And I really dislike that argument, but I respect your opinion. I've had this conversation before, but you are way undervaluing Quinshon Judkins if that is your argument against Zach Evans. Don't make an argument against Zach Evans by using someone else. Make an argument against Zach Evans because of Zach Evans as a prospect. You are massively undervaluing Quinshon Judkins when you do that, who is probably a top 4 pick in the 2025 rookie draft. He's a freak. Just because he was a 3-star doesn't mean that every college right now is kicking themselves for making a mistake. You're undervaluing Ole Miss and how they were able to recruit him, Lane Kiffin, and the incredible recruiter that he is. The fact that Lane Kiffin went to all of his high school games when no one else is there, find an absolute gem in that high school recruiting class. You're underrating Quinshon Judkins as a prospect as himself. Did you devalue Javonte Williams because of Michael Carter? I mean, I'm all for, because I've said this before. I've literally just said it. Zach Evans has some problems identifying running lanes. His vision is not what I want it to be. And that's what's holding me back on him. His vision and his pass catching ability. I'm not saying his vision's bad. I'm just saying that I see some concerns there. If you come to me and you say that, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, fair enough. You know, but to use a different player to devalue him, I'm just like, what process are we doing here? I don't understand that. But
no, that's fair. One thing I would just say, and then we can close it if you want, or rebuttal about the Quinshon, because you said, did we devalue Michael Carter or Javonte Williams? I think we already knew, if I'm not mistaken, that they were splitting it. Where like the expectations for Zach Evans going to Ole Miss was that he was going to lead the backfield.
Okay, right? The issue with that is that might have been your expectations. That wasn't Ole Miss's expectations. Ole Miss knew what they had in Quinshon Judkins.
Right.
That was just the first year you saw them together. It wasn't the first year you saw Javonte and Michael Carter together.
No, and that's fair. And I think that's like that. Maybe that I'm saying that's what people could rebuttal. Essentially, you know, like we knew Javonte Williams and had multiple years.
I'm all for like a conversation. I just don't like devaluing a prospect and not even talking about his game. Do you know what I mean? Right. I think that's where I don't like it. Anyway, we should stop talking about Zach Evans because it's going forever.
It's always a long one when it comes to Kevin.
I know.
It's just always like people agree.
There's going to be people on two sides, and that's okay. Sean Tucker goes at the 2-3. Your RB3, my RB4. Again, I have a tied RB4 with Evans and Tucker in my grades. I don't know how it happened. They're tied, so they're both my RB4. But you're higher on Tucker than me.
Yeah, Tucker, in my opinion, is a do-it-all back. I think he's a guy that can command 15. 19 touches a game personally. He's a great guy that can kind of catch the ball out of the backfield as well. We saw him take a massive step in production in a passing opportunity, but I think he's really good in between tackles. I do believe he's 5'10", 210, or 210, 205. You know, there's a little bit conspiracy, but let's just say 208, right?
Sure.
I still think he plays strong. He plays strong as a guy that's 5'10". He goes in, he breaks tackles. You know, he's not the guy that's going to always break a tackle, but he's always putting his shoulder down, trying to get those extra yardage. And I love that from Sean Tucker. I love the patience and the vision out of him as well, hitting the holes. There is times where he can miss it, but I think that's every back. But overall, I love the speed. I love, you know, the acceleration, the twitchiness. I think he is so quick, short area acceleration. In my personal opinion, I love what he can do. I think he is I think a guy that's going to come in and be a starting running back. I think he may not go to a spot, he may not get the draft capital potentially. When I'm hoping he goes in the second. Me personally,
I don't see that happening, but fair.
Yeah, but but in reality, everyone's saying he's going to go, you know, mid to late third, and that's still okay. But I love everything that he brings on tape and the looseness that he brings. So I'm
making this connection for the first time ever, and I don't know why it's taken so long. The way you describe Zach Evans' role in the NFL is actually how I view Sean Tucker's role in the NFL. You don't think that Zach Evans can be a workhorse. It's not even that I don't think Tucker can. It's that I think the most likely scenario is that he is not a workhorse running back. And a lot of that does have to do with the size limitations. Now, if Tucker comes into the combine and he's like 210 or whatever, it's like, okay, a little bit different. But right now we're looking at every other website putting him at 205 pounds. And not only just because of the size and the number, it's because of the film as well. I personally feel like he does lack strength at times when you need that guy to kind of just pound it in there for a couple of yards, like the Brian Robinsons of the world. So I don't know that, like, personally, I view him as like a Tony Pollard type player. Now, I know Pollard didn't run the same type of 40, but that kind of weapon on your team, and that can be very, very valuable for fantasy football. But there's a scenario in my mind where he goes to a team and he's part of a committee, which is, again, what I think is most likely. I think he can be the guy, but I think it's more likely that he's in a committee. And then I see a little bit of struggles from him on goal line scenarios, short yardage scenarios. I think he's maybe subbed out for their guy who's that on the team, you know? So, and then you look at workhorse running backs, because it's like, will he be a workhorse? Will he not? Well, if he is indeed 205 pounds, and we'll redo this exercise after the combine, right? Because right now most sites are listing him at 205. There's only two workhorse running backs that are 205 pounds or under in the NFL, and that's CMC and Austin Eckler. And I do see a little bit of Eckler in his game. That was like one of my extreme ceiling type scenarios of what he could be. But, you know, there's over 17 workhorse running backs who are over that size. And in fact, most people who are getting a workload at any, like, you know, 50%, whatever it is, are over that size. So we'll see. I mean, the combine is going to answer some of those questions. Yeah, but 100%. I like him. I think he's I like the vision personally. Great explosiveness, good speed. People have argued that it's elite speed. I think if you're arguing that Sean Tucker has elite speed, then you're just using the word elite too much. You know, like, I think his speed is good. It's not elite. Like, it's not elite. You can't say Devin Akane has elite speed and also Sean Tucker has elite speed, because then the word elite doesn't mean anything. Do you agree with me there? Because I feel like we were on the same page last time I said that. I definitely
agree. He doesn't have the elite speed. I think he can break away more.
He's got home run speed, potential home run speed.
Yeah, home run speed, exactly. Like, I don't think he will be the one that's going to get caught often out of this group. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. If he's in stride, it's going to be really hard to catch him unless that DB has the elite speed, right? Yeah. So that's the vision.
Yeah, let's see what happens. And again, like, there are some questions about his size. PFF and ESPN both list him at 205. So we'll have to wait and see. I haven't checked Syracuse's official website.
I just went to Syracuse and it says 210.
Does it? Okay.
On Syracuse.
And 5. I think the other conversation there, though, is if a player is adding, like, this is why I don't like so Devin Akane, big player that we've talked about a lot. People are like, well, at the combine, he can add 10 pounds for the combine, but then he's not the same player. Then you take away some of those attributes. So I get it. Of course he can add that pound, but I don't think he wants to play at that size. So there will be interesting. Yes, he runs track, but doesn't mean that he would ever beat Devin Akane in a race, guys. Again, I think we're using the word, this just happens in scouting in general too much nowadays. The word elite is thrown around way too much. Who do you consider elite then, if you're using that word? Because to me, when I think elite speed, I'm thinking Tyreek Hill, I'm thinking Jamison Williams, I'm thinking Devin Akane, I'm thinking Chris Johnson. So you guys think Sean Tucker has that speed? Then use the word elite speed. I don't see it. I think he has very good above average elite speed, but I wouldn't put it elite. If Tucker runs faster 40 than Akane, it's not going to happen. But yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, let's see if he does. But
yeah,
he won't.
It definitely will be interesting.
He won't. Akane's literally the fastest player in college football right now, in the entirety of college football. So yeah, let's see. All right, on to the 204, which has felt like an entire decade.
Yeah, let's go through some of these, maybe 2, 4, 5. I mean, 204, 205 quickly, potentially. Jalen Hyatt, okay.
That's good. Dobbins is a different player than Tucker. Devin Achane.
Dobbins ran a 4.32. Did he actually? No way. I didn't know that. At least I don't remember.
Dobbins had some good speed, man.
At least I don't remember.
Yeah, Dobbins was a burner. All right, Jalen Hyatt goes off the board. Do we take this time to talk about him?
I mean, we can as Chief makes his pick. Look, Jalen Hyatt is not necessarily a guy we both love. We've seen a lot of blown coverages. I mean, Zach always says, the first couple touchdowns.
First 7.
Yeah, the first 7 touchdowns are blown coverages. I think the speed is there. I think what's really good about Jalen Hyatt is that he has speed. But I think overall, as a prospect, it's not somebody that we love tremendously. I don't think he's going to come in and be a workhorse. He's going to come in and be, when I say workhorse, I mean a guy that's going to demand targets, a guy that's going to do it. I see him coming in and being a field stretcher. All right, we got a 3rd and long. All right, Jalen comes in, catches the ball because he has the speed to get behind the defenders. Yeah. I don't see him being, demanding 4, 5, 6, 7 targets a game, in my personal opinion. He can contribute, but he's not going to be a guy he's not going to be a wide receiver. I think he's more like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, a low end wide receiver 2 potentially. That's kind of my thought process, but
for sure,
this is another guy that we see very differently compared to like the mainstream community, community. Yeah,
media,
exactly.
Everything. Yeah, we're not high on Hyatt. I just think he's a very simple player and won through a lot of broken coverages, a lot of free releases, a lot of zone, over the top with his speed. And I don't think that his game translates very well into the NFL. Again, the first 7 touchdowns I watched on film were go routes where he was free, just wide open. And that also contributes to his yards after the catch. So if you're going to go look at his yards after the catch in college, this is why film is so important. If you're just looking at yards after the catch for Jalen Hyatt, yeah, that's pretty good. How much of that yak was actually like NFL yak, where it's screen passes, it's slants, it's you use a move to make a man miss and use your athleticism in the open field? We just don't see that. I think he's MVS Will Fuller. I don't think he's... I saw someone say he was Tyreek Hill the other day. I was like, oh my gosh. What are we doing?
Oh my gosh. You're right.
Devin Achane goes off the board. A-Chain, a.k.a. Devin A-Train. This is if you're going to use the word elite speed, now we can use the word elite speed with Devin A-Chain. True Olympic track speed. Now, yes, other players run track. That doesn't mean that they run track like Devin Achane runs track. The speed is truly game-changing. Like Chris Johnson type speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs in the 4.2s. So that's elite. Like a 4.28. That would not surprise me at all for Devin Achane. Great burst, just really good athlete, good lateral movement, great pass catcher as well. I think that part of his game really intrigues me because I view him being an elite 3rd down weapon kind of guy you put in different places on the field, that you can put him in the slot if you want. Obviously, the strength is a real concern. Pass blocking, there's not much there, but I think he can be truly one of the best 3rd down running backs we've ever seen. Like genuinely that we've ever seen. So I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's probably going to be good value here at the mid-second. I'm probably taking him over Hyatt.
Yeah, I like Devin. As well. I mean, at the moment, I have him as my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, RB5. So sorry, I have Zach Evans as my 5. Sorry, RB7. Jeez, that's a big lie then.
Okay, yeah, Evans as your 7.
I said RB5 earlier. That's 6. I forgot to count.
Sense.
I forgot to count Bijan.
Counting is important.
And Jameer. But yeah, I like Devin. I like the speed, like you said, and a great pass catching running back, a good change of pace guy that's going to come in and try and help you get that first down. Is gonna spread the field a little bit with his legs. I think a lot of things. One thing he needs to work on, I think, is his pass protection, which is going to be massive. And I think you said this
that worries me a
for
little
his
bit.
for his body type. What is he? 5'9", 100 something.
185.
185. Like that's.
Which again, other people are going to be out there saying like he can get to 190, 195 by the combine. It's like, well, okay, then he loses some of that spark that he has. It's like that's not, you can't just solve a problem by then creating another potential problem.
Yeah. So I like Devin. I think it's good. He's my, once again, RB5. I was mistaken earlier. Zach Evans is RB7. Just to make that clear for everyone that that was in the chat earlier.
What's up, Justin? Welcome in. A Kane or Evans? I'm going to Evans. I think Badake's A Kane, but it's pretty close between the two. All right, I am up here, and there's a lot of different ways that I could go. I don't think quarterback. I personally am not taking quarterback in the second round. Draft capital could change that, but there's just no one that I look at right now and feel comfortable taking. There is finally a wide receiver that I can take, but there's also a tight end that I love on the board.
Just take a guy so you can finally draft him and talk about him.
I think I'm gonna finally take my guy because I haven't been able to do it for a long time. I don't know that I'd take this player over the tight end that's still on the board, but just for the simple fact that I can finally draft him for the first time this offseason, I'm going to go ahead and draft Xavier Hutchinson. This is a player that I believe could be one of the biggest risers before the NFL draft. We'll find out how he tests at the combine. But as far as NFL scouts, if they go ahead and put him on film, then they will really like the player that they see. Now, he's a little bit of an older as a prospect coming out, late declare. He'll be 22 years old, redshirt senior. But the background behind that, he went to JUCO for a couple of years, and then he came to Iowa State, but broke the single season record for receptions. I mean, this guy is just like, you put on his film and you instantly love him. PFF has him rated as a 4th rated wide receiver this year. That is out of 199 wide receivers who had a minimum of 55 targets. In that same category, he was a 4th graded for passing routes as well. Proven offensive feature. He had 161 targets this year, led all of college football, top 10 in receiving yards and receptions this year. Great route runner. I love his route running ability, and really it is one of 2 reasons why I think he can be a very special steal in this year's draft. Clean, quick cuts at the break point of the route, can lull the defenders to sleep and then kind of burst into that second point of the route. And you see it on film. Defenders genuinely don't know how to guard this guy. You can just see it as he's lining up against them. It's like he's about to eat. He's about to have a snack. Like, they are genuinely not sure. That's why they give him the cushion, and he has the head fakes. He has the body fakes, and then they just don't know what to do. Good contested catch ability. And we saw that because of some pretty poor quarterback play. A lot of underthrown balls, overthrown balls where he kind of had to contort his body, track the ball down, and make some special catches, which is good for us to see on film. But obviously that was bad for the team. Good size, 6'3", 205. I think he has good game speed. Nowhere near elite, maybe average. Hopefully we get him in like the 4.4. I want him anywhere like the 4.42s to 4.45s. I would be happy. If he has, that speed at minimum. Versatile player, can play in the slot or outside. Again, the only bad things is that he's a little bit older and he went to JUCO. But personally, I've said this before, if he was 2 years younger and played at Ohio State or Alabama, he'd be a top 20 pick in this year's draft. So I want to be known as the Xavier Hutchinson guy this year. I want to be known, and I hope that NFL catches up. Hey, thank you so much for the sub, but it's really my hope that his value raises as the offseason goes on, and as the combine comes, and as NFL scouts are starting to really kind of break into the film. Right now, you look at his consensus big board. Shout out to NFL Mock Draft Database. This is a great resource. And right now, I mean, he can he's continually rising up, which you like to see. Had a little drop there. Right now projected as a 4th round pick. I think he can get into the 3rd round, if not early 3rd. I think it's a real possibility that can happen. Big fan of his game. I see a little Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen in the game. Floor of Tyler Boyd, Harris Campbell. Projected role, I think he's a wide receiver 2, like a really good wide receiver 2 with the potential to be a true 1 for a team. Again, like the Terry McLaurin pathway, like the Adam Thielen pathway, both players who came out later in age and then became really good players at their position. So I really desperately want the draft capital to line up with this player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Zach. I really like Xavier Hutchinson. Oh, he's my wide receiver 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. So he's up there. He's hot. Yeah. And like Zach, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think he's a do-it-all guy. I do believe he can be a true wide receiver 1 or a really, really good wide receiver 2 of kind of what we've seen in production of so many wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
Like he's going to be a guy that's going to come in and contribute no matter where he goes. And I think success is where he's going to be, right?
Yeah.
He goes to a bad team with a bad quarterback, he's going to be successful in my opinion. And I hope that's the case. Same thing if he goes to an elite team with an amazing quarterback, obviously success is going to be there as well. Yeah. I think he's phenomenal, honestly. Yeah. I'm with you.
All right, let's go ahead and head on to the 207. We should probably shouldn't spend that much time on every pick. My bad. We're getting a little late into the day here. We've already been live for what, like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what people got.
It's just hard not to get passionate about these players.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll do like 30 snippets. So, Michael Mayer goes off the board. Where's he going here?
This is a really good pick. He went to the Bucks.
He went to the Bucks here. So I think, it's good.
I like this pick a lot. I mean, complete tight end. He's probably one of those guys, could have a similar season to Pat Freiermuth as a rookie, and probably ends up as a top 5 dynasty tight end by the end of his rookie season. So to get him there at the 2-7, I think that's very, very good value. I'm a big fan of that pick.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I probably, if Michael Mayer is on the board at the 2-6, I'm probably taking him over Xavier Hutchinson. Just because Mayer's going to get the he's going to get the draft capital. Tank Bigsby goes off the board.
Yeah,
you're a big fan of his.
Yeah, big fan of Tank. Tank the Tank. Tank is a tank. I just love what he can do. He's not the fastest. He doesn't have the best vision, but he has the strength, the ability to break tackles. 17th in yards after contact, and that's among 168 with a minimum 100 targets, 100 attempts. 13th in yards after contact, averaging like yards per after the contact, if that makes any sense.
Is this like on rushes?
Yeah, yards after contact per attempt.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
He's 13th, which is really good, and I think that's phenomenal for a guy that is, once again, not the fastest. He is not the biggest. He's getting all those extra yardage. 6 foot, 213 pounds. I like what he can be. I think he's going to be a goal line guy. He's going to be the guy that's going to come in and get a bunch of touchdowns. Maybe he'll have a James Conner type season. Not this year, but the year before, right? Sure. Maybe he can have that some point in his career. Sure. I like Tank and what he can do. I think every NFL team needs a guy just like Tank.
Yeah.
And he will contribute, in my opinion.
His role is so easy to project in the NFL, for sure. I mean, I just view him very much very similar to Brian Robinson. Can instantly step in and kind of produce in that way. So I don't see the crazy ceiling that everyone else does, but I think he's it's very easy to project him being a starter in the NFL. Not a complete role, but definitely a starter. Parker Washington goes off the board, another one of the guys that you really love. I'm a big fan of his as well. I'd be happy to get him here this late.
Yeah, that's who I was hoping to fall to me. Parker Washington out of Penn State, 5'10", 215 pounds. He actually weighs more than Sean Tucker on paper.
They should swap positions.
Yeah, they should swap positions, but he's a slot wide receiver. If you don't know who Parker Washington is, go watch Penn State versus Ohio State. Phenomenal game. I think that was his breakout game this year. And maybe that's his ceiling, right? That is his high true ceiling, but I think he's a great complimentary wide receiver. I've been trying to find a comp. If anyone has a comp out there, please.
James Washington, I heard someone say.
Okay.
I think James as a floor. Washington? As a floor. And it makes sense because they're pretty much the same size, similar kind of prospects coming out. I would say Parker has much better hands coming out.
For sure.
But that's kind of a similar comp. But obviously that doesn't excite anyone. Doesn't excite anyone
exactly.
to say James Washington.
I've been trying to find comps of someone somehow fantasy relevant. I've been trying to find something. Yeah, it's just there. It's not there for me. But yeah,
there's not many wide receivers in the NFL who are at 215 pounds.
I know, but I like who he is personally.
5'10", 215. So and they play out of the slot. There's a lot of wide receivers who are 215 or over, but not a lot of guys with his projected role. So that's why it's hard to nail a comp for him.
Yeah.
I would say Xavier's going to run a faster 40 than JSN, but again, the speed doesn't really worry me.
Of Xavier Hutchinson.
Yeah, Parker's a slower Christian Kirk. Okay. What is a plus that should be added? We'll do a Q&A at the end, guys. Badake, you're on the clock here.
Oh,
what are we thinking?
Okay. Let me just go through my stuff here.
What are we thinking, brother?
Guess the next guy up, because I was going to take Parker, and then I guess I have to go Marvin Mims.
Okay.
Marvin Mims, I know is a guy you don't necessarily love, but I think it's another guy that can come in and contribute. A slot wide receiver. I think he's a decent size. Obviously, he was playing out of Oklahoma. Not the best, in my opinion, stats on paper, but you have to take into account of who he was playing with. He wasn't playing with Spencer Rattler this year. He was playing with a guy named Gabriel, a quarterback named Gabriel. I forgot his name, Daniel Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
Dylan Gabriel, but he did play with Spencer Rattler for a year and a half. I think that kind of contributes to how he kind of struggles and the passing opportunity for him. And then he had a little gap where he was with Caleb Williams, where he didn't have too much opportunity until this year, until 2022. But from what we saw on film, I like everything he's doing. I like his route running. I like the ability, the quickiness, the twitchiness, decent hands. Not the best contested catch guy down the field, but I think if you put him in the slot, I think he could definitely produce. He's just complimentary, slot wide receiver that can come in and be something. But I can see how he can get lost in the depths for sure. But good yak ability too. 12th amongst wide receiver in 2022 in college. So
yeah,
it's definitely there.
Specifically on the yak, that's one of those. I think it's a little similar to Jalen Hyatt with him catching a lot of balls down the field. If he catches that at the 30, it's a 50-yard pass. You get 30 yards after the catch. But
sure.
No, I get it. Yeah, that's another one that we see differently. I'm not a big Mims guy, but I can see where you're coming from for sure. Zay Flowers goes off the board. I love Zay Flowers. I mean, I think this is a huge deal. Like Zay Flowers this late feels like a crime somehow. But I'm a big Zay Flowers guy, and from what we've heard, the NFL is also a huge Zay Flowers guy.
They love him.
In fact, he might have to be moved up rankings if he gets the kind of draft capital that we're hearing, which is potentially like early second type draft capital. But the dude is dominated production-wise, dominated rating of 36.1%. Doesn't have the best size, but probably goes to the slot in the NFL, so I think he can succeed there. Great speed. I think he has a high IQ in the open field after the catch. Pretty good hands. The hands is something that he does need to work on. Pretty bad drop rate. But again, good dominator rating, good versatility. Hey, thank you so much for the sub. So we'll see what happens with him. My comp for him is Eddie Royal, Rondale Moore. I know that was your comp as well, was Rondale Moore. I think he's a productive slot wide receiver in the NFL, and that he could be one of the steals of the draft. I like that pick.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting with Zay. Let's see what Noah does here at the 12.
Okay.
what
Nathaniel Dell. They call him Tank. Which
Tank.
I think is
makes no sense.
I think it's supposed to be ironic. Tank is Nathaniel Dell, aka Tank, is 5'10", 165 pounds. He'll be 23 years old. I believe he's on Last Chance U, late breakout age. I personally struggle to see a scenario in which Tank is anything more than a kick returner. Practice squad guy, I don't know. For me, I'm probably not going to have any Tank on my team. I won't have any Nathaniel Dell. At that size, I struggle. It's kind of like Tutu Atwell. Similar concerns there where it's like, okay,
right.
At times you can make an impact, but probably never going to be a highly volume, centered player. So I don't know. I hate to write him off. I don't like to do that with size, but I just don't see a scenario in which he's even a wide receiver 2 in the NFL. So So yeah, I'm pretty out on him. But
Yeah, I would agree.
okay, hey, thank you so much for the sub. Perpetual Energy. Dalton Kincaid goes at the 3-1, and he is a Lion. Oh, damn, another sub. Thank you so much, Bajorn. Thank you, Bajorn. So Dalton Kincaid goes off the board. He went to the Lions here in the second round. So I definitely like that landing spot there. There's a running back that I'm a big fan of that I think should have been off the board by now, but he's still up. Let's see what I feel like J22 probably takes him, but Kincaid, not exactly a complete tight end, but pretty good as a pass catcher. And we like that for fantasy. So let's see what J22 does here. We'll try and kind of speed through this third round.
Do some 30-second takes or something.
Twitter version takes. So we'll see what J22 does. We are low on Kendre Miller. We're definitely not this low, though.
I think I'm lower than you, personally.
Oh, you're lower on him than me?
If I'm not mistaken. I think I am lower on Kendre.
I already fell low on him, and I
think he's like my RB 10 or something like that.
Okay, he's my 8, so I probably would have taken him off the board, and kind of around Tank Bigsby is where I would have gone Kendre Miller.
Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, we still don't know what the NFL thinks about Kendre Miller because he's not being mocked anywhere near top 3 rounds at the moment. Some people might project him to be there at time. Okay, if he wants to take Tillman.
Is that what you said? Tillman out there. That's who
I think he wants to take Cedric. Yeah, I don't see Cedric Tillman.
All right, well, just tell him to pick a random player.
Yeah, I did. Let's see if he gets the memo.
Just tell him to go all the way down and choose like the dude on the last ADP, like Davis Allen.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make this Cedric Tillman. Tillman's difficult to really put your finger on. I don't think Tillman and Tillman and Jalen Hyatt should be drafted very far away from each other. I view them very similarly. As far as like their value in Dynasty, but Tillman's obviously a different player, so and more your big body outside guy. He might be pushed up draft boards because there's not much of that in this year's draft. But I think Tillman's a pretty good route runner. We saw him win a lot versus Keely Ringo versus Georgia. I just don't think there's much athleticism or explosiveness there, or any sort of those traits to help him moving forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just not a guy that we necessarily love. Big body wide receiver that can go up and contest the catch, but not someone that's going to be a massive contributor in the NFL, in our opinion, at least in my opinion.
I kind of put him in the Nico Collins type comp was my comp for him.
Hey, Nico about to get Bryce or CJ, baby. Come on, Nico. Where my Nico believers? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have Kendre as my RB8. So again, like I've said this before, but I would take Kendre similar to where Tank Bigsby went is where I would have taken him personally. I know some people have him as high as their RB3. I do not have him there. I have him as my RB8. There's a lot of other running backs I prefer over Kendre. But again, I'm probably still putting Kendre right around Tank Bigsby there. All right, Luke Musgrave goes off the board. Tight end, I believe out of Oregon State, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see a lot of NFL teams like him. Good landing spot, though, if I'm not mistaken, to the Chargers. Well, that's very enticing.
A lot of people, I mean, in the last couple of weeks, we've been seeing going to the Giants, and I'm like, well, I like Bellinger, so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, looks pretty good as well. But I mean,
there goes Hendon Hooker off the board at the 3-4. Please don't make me draft. Let's see what Chief does.
Hendon Hooker, great guy. We both love him, but ACL kind of just results in, puts him back in the backup position. I think he could have had a starting role if he played this whole season. Maybe got late first round capital or high second, mid second. But
there goes Kendre Miller.
There he goes.
A lot of people have him very high. Again, my RB8, your RB10.
And
I personally, and we even had all 22 film on him. Because I think if you look at the highlights, then I mean, that's just bad process if you're looking at highlights.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming that anyone else is. I'm just saying it's a lot easier to look at highlights and see some sort of superstar. But we do have all 22 film on him. And I saw a good player, someone who absolutely can contribute, be a first and second down running back. I didn't see, kind of like Zamir White last year when everyone's telling me like, dude, Zamir White's about to be an absolute stud in the NFL. Like, you're not ready for it. I just was like, well, I like this player. I can see how he can contribute. I'm just not sure that he's a star like everyone else. There's no elite traits or like not elite athleticism. I just couldn't point to anything where he kind of separated himself from the other players, other running backs.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, like I have him low because I think there's talent, but I think what's going to set him apart is going to be his measurements and numbers at the combine, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think he is somebody that has to perform well at the combine to take the next step for him to get the draft capital. If he doesn't, then I'm not sure where he would go, right? Yeah. But I think the talent's there. I think he just needs to prove it to everyone else. And I think if he does have the numbers and proves it to me as well, then I might be down. I might be down to believe a little bit more.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take my sleeper running back of this year's class. In fact, I have this running back ranked ahead of Tank Bigsby, ahead of Kendre Miller, ahead of Chase Brown, who a lot of people like. I'm officially staking my claim. This is my sleeper running back of this year's draft. And I am I am recording my top 10 running backs video later today, and that will be out this week. So I don't want to spill the beans too much.
Don't spill it.
This is a player where you put on the film and you're like, holy, this guy could be special. There are clearly special traits. And not only are there special traits, he has the body size too. He's got the frame. Now, it doesn't use the frame as much as you want him to, but, I mean, there are some special traits with this player. I'm talking Israel Abanikanda out of Pitt. He is currently, if I'm not mistaken, he's my running back 6. What the fuck? He's my running back 6.
Oh, you're that high on him. Oh, okay.
Yes.
We had like a slight conversation, like an ad lib earlier. And I was like, bro, I like this guy. And Zach was like, I want to say his name. I was like, I might know who it is. But I was like, I think I might like him too. But he was like, yeah, I have him super high where it's scary. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, maybe it's like, 7, 8. But he's not as high for me. He's my RB8.
Yeah.
So it's close.
I'm excited for that video. I'm excited to tell people about Abanikanda. And also, you already have your team name down if you draft Abanikanda. Abanikanda forever. It's already there. You got it. Don't worry.
Abanikanda forever.
But no, I don't want to go in too much detail because I will go in so much detail in that video. But yeah, I love the guy. Yes, I'm scared about how high I have him. He is my Xavier Hutchinson of the running back position.
Yeah.
All right, we see McKee go off the board. Where did he get drafted? Did he? I'm
trying to see.
Surely Tanner McKee got drafted, right?
Yeah, he went to the Bucks as well.
He went to the Bucks?
Tanner McKee went to the Bucks, and he went with Michael Mayer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, second round. Okay, I mean, at that point, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. Mid-third. Darnell Washington, where did he go? He goes to the
Panthers.
Panthers. Interesting spot. Then we see Rashawn Johnson, who I like Rashawn Johnson. I couldn't put him higher. I wanted to put him higher, but I think he's a real name to look out for, Rashawn Johnson. I mean, he's got this ridiculous frame. I mean,
it's a big
dude.
boy.
Looks like. I'm not saying he's anywhere near the talent of Derrick Henry, but when you pop on the film, you're like, holy shit, that guy could probably put me in a hospital with one hit. 6'2", 223. I mean, he's just a massive guy. So yeah, I like the pick here.
Okay.
Never really had a workhorse role, but this is pretty late in the draft. I like it.
I'm gonna take a guy that you said you didn't like, which I like.
Okay.
And that,
Hold on. It's not that I don't like him. I just don't like him like other people like him, because other people like him like top 5.
whoa,
And
okay,
I'm not there.
No, I'm not there. I like Chase Brown. You know, he's in my top 10. I think he's RB9 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So he's there. I like him a lot. And one thing I saw was his yards after contact. He's 7th in yards after contact and 4th in missed tackles forced. And I think he's a strong, big body guy who is 5'11", 205 pounds as well. Okay. So another Sean Tucker type build that is breaking tackles. I don't know. I just like what he has there. I think he's good. He has good short burst acceleration. Doesn't have the long speed, but I like the areas where he's in where he has bodies around him. He can move quicker than expected, right? I think he can make people miss, which I really like. He can also be utilized as a pass catching guy. We didn't see too much of it, but I do like the ability that he can bring and be. What he can be, I don't know. I've been trying to find comps. I've been trying to think of people. I thought of like a Kareem Hunt, just because Kareem Hunt breaks a lot of tackles. Like that's why I thought of it, like not necessarily of the talent. But I like Chase Brown personally. I like him a lot.
I don't want to I just want to explain why I'm not very high on him.
No, and that's fair. Yeah, go for it.
Because I don't hate where you have him. You said you had him where?
9.
RB9. He's my 11. I really don't see the strength that people see. I don't see the strength. I don't see the break tackle ability. And I think that we might be in an era, not an era, we might be in a place where we're using analytics, not saying incorrectly, but we're missing the full picture. Chase Brown this year, I mean, let me out of how many running backs? Give me a second. Let me figure this out for just 1 second, because I want people to kind of get the full picture of what I'm trying to say here. Okay, Chase Brown this year. You guys with me?
I'm listening.
Chase Brown, 674 running backs were in college football this year who had stats, okay? 674 college football running backs. Chase Brown had the second most rushing attempts. Second most rushing attempts of over 670 running backs. I think that's where the missed tackles force come from. Because he's 4th out of, if you have 100 attempts, he is 4th in that category. Yards out of the contact, if you have 100 attempts, he's 7th in that category. But I think a more accurate representation of Chase Brown's yards out of the contact is where you look at it per attempt. His yards out of the contact per attempt is 2.84, which is kind of a mediocre number. I mean, that's 108th of 168 running backs with 100 attempts. That feels more like what I was seeing on film, because I was just not sure why he had such a high amount of yards out of the contact. I was with you. I was like, wait, am I missing something? And again, I could be missing something. Wouldn't be the first time. But to me, I feel like we're looking at a player who was literally had the second most usage in college football. Again, 600 plus running backs in college football this year. He had the second most rushing attempts. Probably the highest usage player in college football, if you look at it from that perspective. So naturally, you're going to get a lot of forced tackles missed. You're going to, you're going to get a lot of yards of the contact. But I think the workload is something that's going to potentially improve his draft capital. We'll see, because people have seen him being able to be that player. I like the speed. I like the burst. I just don't think he's a very strong player. And I don't see a first and second down running back like other people do. I don't see much elusiveness either in the open field. This guy looks a little bit robotic to me, typically being taken down by the first tackler. And I don't think the vision and patience is exactly where I would want it to be. Again, I think he has a mental capacity to read lanes and to kind of get creative, but I think there's a lack of explosion to actually get to the places where he wants to go. My comps for him, I feel comfortable with these. And again, I could be wrong, but I think it's good that we're finally talking about this player. I see a Zach Moss type player is kind of what I'm seeing. Boston Scott. So a rotational running back.
A rotational guy, okay.
Is what I'm looking at. But again, I could be very wrong. I've just never explained why I'm low on him. So I just want to take an opportunity to do that.
And that's fair. And I think like I guess a quick rebuttal would just be like I guess that's two sides to the coin, you know. Like
100%. You're right.
We can say like that's somebody that didn't have the workload. We just can't see the workload, you know, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like him. I like what I saw, and I think he could potentially be a surprise. He's one of my low key sleepers.
Sure.
Can he be?
A lot of people are with you. I could be wrong. Be wrong.
I don't know if I'm with the community that you're saying that there's a community out there that is saying that Chase Brown's a top 5. He can be a workhorse guy. I think he can come in and develop to be a workhorse guy. I don't think it's like right off the gate. And I think of somebody like I'm not saying he's at the potential, but like a Dameon Pierce. He may not have the best draft capital. He may fall into a good opportunity where he gets drafted in the 4th. He's the only back there. He beats out the older veteran guy. And oh shit, Chase Brown. Like we didn't think Dameon Pierce can have the work.
No, definitely
can handle the workload because he
but
didn't have the
it was a
workload in
perfect
college.
situation.
Yeah, it was a perfect situation.
And I will say Dameon Pierce always had the frame. You saw this bulldozer guy. You saw that frame. I don't see that with. Because Dameon Pierce is what? He's like 220.
I think he's a little bit heavier. He's always been like, he's always fighting for every yard. He's always putting his shoulder down. He's always hitting, breaking tackles and hitting somebody to the next level.
To me, a lot of people had the conversation point around Chase being like, he plays way above his weight. I just didn't see that. Like I saw an undersized running back.
Okay, no, that's fair, and we're gonna see.
But I agree. You're right. 100%. There's two sides to the coin there. Yeah. It's like, well, some of these players we don't know if they can handle full workload, but we like their traits. Yeah. And now we have someone. So I get where you're coming from, but I mean, again, I just think that context is something that shouldn't be ignored at minimum. You know, and maybe I'm being too harsh on him. Like that wouldn't be the first time I've been too harsh on a prospect, and I'll end up being on the opposite side. But I think that is pretty concerning when you think about it from that perspective. Like, damn, okay, he actually was worked to the ground and the efficiency is not there. But again, opposite side of the coin, you're not as efficient when you're worked to the ground. So yeah, it'll be really interesting conversation most of the offseason on him.
100%. I mean, this is the first time I think we've spoken about Chase Brown on our
right here, right
on our
now.
channel. So maybe some people are still trying to figure out who he is and what he is. If you guys don't know, Illinois, running back out of Illinois, and he is 5'11", 205, 21 years old, and 329 attempts.
Yeah,
329 attempts. He got worked, but yeah.
You know, one of the things I loved about Izzy Abanikanda was he's such a young running back. I think Chase Brown might have more career attempts than Izzy had this year. How many this year did he have?
329.
Okay, Izzy has 390 in his career. So I'm so excited to record.
You know why? You know, the first thing I saw when I scouted Izzy, I just saw where he was from, and I was like, he's from, and they said he was from Brooklyn, and I was like, I'm gonna like this kid. That was literally the first thing I told myself, and then maybe I went in with a little bit high of expectation, and then I just fell in love with every little move. I was like, holy shit, Brooklyn. Oh, okay, Izzy, Brooklyn.
Yeah, right, right.
It is funny.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll leave some time for a Q&A here. You guys really think Evans could overtake Pierce? I think he could. Again, I wasn't very high on Pierce as a prospect.
I think it depends on
I really don't know where the Dynasty community stands on Pierce anymore, because when he came out and he was like this guy for the first 5 weeks and he was dominating, or like the first half of the season, everyone was like, see, you know, go send a 23 first for him straight away right now. And I'm saying all day, like, take the first. And now we're in the offseason and no one wants to do that. So I don't know where people stand on him, but I just didn't really like him that much as a prospect. I was wrong on him for sure, but I think he can easily compete with Dameon for that backfield.
Yeah. You know, I'm in a hard place there, ATJ. I really think that Dameon Pierce, I'm on the side of probably with you, where I think Dameon Pierce, they like him. They want to invest in him. I think
so too.
And I don't know if he's going to beat him. I think he will take the passing opportunities away from, you know, what we saw from Rams.
Hey, Quinn, thank you so much for the I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
And any passing opportunity that maybe Dameon was getting, right? So I like
Sure.
Damian Pearson. I think he could potentially be the future if they don't draft a running back in this class, and we won't know that until the draft.
Right.
Unless they get somebody in free agency, but
Yeah, and that's where I think they could. I don't know. Again, that whole conversation was very hypothetical, and I don't like. It's a very low chance that Evans actually ends up on the Texans. Like, I don't actually think that would happen personally, because you're right. They probably will address other areas, but they're a team that I do think could address running back help.
yeah, running back
In
help
free agency. I think they
free
could,
agency, for
because
sure.
there's so many running backs who need a landing spot. You know, I look at this list of names, and I think a guy like Kareem Hunt, like if he wants to really compete for touches, he could do it there. Rashad Penny coming off of his injury, Jamal Williams if they don't want to re-sign him, Deonta Foreman. Foreman feels like the perfect guy to go and just ruin a backfield there. Miles Sanders, who knows where he's going to go? He might resign.
I think
Jerick
vet guys-
McKinnon could sign there, be their Rex Burkhead, take the passing work. Hey, thanks so much for the sub, Andrew. I think another couple names like Monty, Singletary, Damian Harris, Madison, Tony Pollard. I think all these guys, James Robinson, could potentially. Like, it's not crazy to say that they could land there. I think
sure.
Texans are more likely to get running back help in free agency.
No, sorry, I was saying no to Blaze, not you.
I was like, damn, all right,
yeah,
fine.
no, no, I agree. I think I'm more scared of. I think you will have an opportunity to compete with somebody that's like a Pollard, that's like a Monty, but I will be more scared if I see Kareem, a Jamal Williams, a Jeff Wilson. I'll be more scared in that scenario, just because I mean they were really trying to make him compete with Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead, which maybe wasn't the best people to compete with, you know, and challenge him.
Crazy, he won that job.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Right. Very impressive.
Yeah, that's good.
No, I was wrong about Pierce for sure. My evaluations were wrong, and I do think they could address other areas, but I think free agency might be their route. What's up, Playoff Dak? Kevin says you guys are great. Always appreciate the incredible content you guys pump out. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
OMG. He says congrats on the G-Man.
Hey, baby, talk it up, huh?
Yeah.
Next week. Hey, I'm just glad for another opportunity, another week, just another win, hopefully.
It says, based on your rankings, where do you consider tier breaks to be? We actually will release those soon on Patreon, and we will show you where our tier breaks are. ATJ says, I see Houston going with quarterback and wide receiver. I also think that could be possible as well.
Agreed.
There's talks about Sean Payton. I would be really shocked if Sean Payton, out of all the jobs, chose to go to garbage can Houston Texans. There's a lot more attractive areas out there. I know they have the pick. Maybe you're right. Like, maybe he wants to run with one of these quarterbacks. I don't know.
I think that's the case personally. I don't think he's want to go to a team where
You want to go to Houston though?
I mean, Houston is not ideal, and it hasn't been ideal for years. I mean, since the
H-Town? Sean to H-Town? I don't know.
It doesn't sound ideal. I think like you see Sean Payne at like big flashy city, right? Like Houston's not the big flashy city that has,
or like a prestigious, like
right.
Denver makes sense to me because there's prestige.
But there's no draft capital, so like no one.
There's
really
not, but
wants to go there.
if he believes in Russ, then he's like, it's fine. I will make Russ what he was supposed to be anyway.
No, yeah, I can definitely see that. You know, the Raiders have the Colts have a first. Raiders are prestige.
Colts make a lot of sense.
Are up there as well. I mean, I doubt he'll go somewhere like the Panthers that need a head coach.
If the Chargers were to open up vacancy, that would be a lock, I think.
It looks like doesn't look like they're gonna move away from the Chargers. I mean, from Brandon Staley, excuse me.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Deuce Vaughn? I mean, we like him. Just another one of those undersized running backs that we really find it difficult to envision him having a role in the NFL.
I think
at best he's third down running back.
Yeah, I think
at worst he's practice squad.
What's crazy is like I can kind of see him just as Devin. I really can. Like he doesn't have a cane.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have the
He's
size.
a lot more
smaller.
undersized though.
100%.
So it's even more exaggerated.
Yeah, it's even more exaggerated, but I can see how their pathways can be similar. I think Deuce doesn't have the track speed, but he does have. I think he's just under the elite. I think he is pretty fast.
Yeah, he's up there.
So he's close. I have him in a weird area right now where.
So he's 5'6", 176, by the way. So we were already looking at. Sorry to interrupt, but just to clarify the size.
No.
5'6", 176 for Deuce. For a Kane, we're already concerned at 5'9", 185. So that's tough.
It is tough. So I'm just not sure. I just think if we believe in a Kane so much, I think we should be able to believe in Deuce. But it is harder to argue when Deuce is significantly smaller, right? Because the numbers and the production and everything he's done was phenomenal, and I think significantly better than Devin and Kane. It's just the size is a lot more exaggerated.
I just always get put off when a player is shorter than me and almost the same weight. I'm like, I would die in the NFL. I'm sorry. I'm not that heavy, though. I mean, he's got a lot more muscle on him than me.
That's fair.
How about them Cowboys? Yep. I can wait till next week for the downfall.
Well, I'm believing.
I'm believing for the Niners to win. No disrespect. We just don't like the Cowboys. ATJ says, if you were set at quarterback and had a top 3 pick, would you move up to get Bijan? That's honestly, ATJ, the question is really how much does it cost? Because I think you're going to have to pay your firstborn child type cost.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to give a Bijan.
But Bijan, just like Brees last year for me, is in a tier of his complete, like on his own. He's probably a top 5 prospect in the entire draft. Top 10, top 5. There's probably only 3 blue chip players. Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and Bijan Robinson.
I mean, will we be okay, I know the last time a running back went in the top 5 was Saquon Barkley. Would we not be surprised if the Cardinals go Bijan, who need a running back?
I would be surprised. Especially, think about it, new GM, new head coach. The first move you make is draft a running back that early. You're asking to be fired in a year.
Maybe.
But I think the first we could see him go is 10 to the Eagles. That's the highest I think he could go.
Bro,
but he could fall. He could fall further though.
If the Eagles get Bijan, that would
it's a wrap.
That would be a super team.
It's a wrap.
It's like
the Titans could do it, but they don't have an offensive line. Who else could do it here? I mean, technically Washington. I think they're happy though. I mean, maybe Detroit does it. Just bucket. Swift is a 3rd down running back now.
I think the same thing. I think Vegas can do it, even though if they find a quarterback somewhere else. Yeah. I think Atlanta can do it, because they will have the tight end, wide receiver, and running back. I think Carolina can do it, but then again, they need so much more for Carolina. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think a sneaky team, which we've talked about this before. Actually, it's a video that's coming out, so we won't lead on too much. Is the Chargers.
Yeah.
That's a sneaky team.
That's
Minnesota's a sneaky team. You look at these teams and you say, oh, Dalvin Cook's there. Dalvin Cook's not the same Dalvin Cook he was. Eckler's a different story entirely. But maybe you get ahead of the curve. There's a lot of areas to address on the defense for the Chargers, so probably not. But there's a lot of sneaky teams that could do it. I mean, we did not expect Javonte Williams to go to the Broncos. We did not expect Breece Hall to go to the Jets. Actually, that was one of the places I projected him to go. But do you know what I mean? It's just like there's these surprises that happen every draft.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one of these top tier running backs gets traded. I mean, like the Dalvins, the Aaron Jones, or cut, and they get traded, and we weren't expecting. Like, we didn't think AJ Brown was going to get freaking traded. No one expected that. We was like, there's no way they're going to do that. And they did it in the draft for a younger wide receiver. I mean, maybe they do the same thing in the running back room somehow for one of these teams. Maybe
Deontay Johnson probably gets traded.
Maybe.
Watch it happen. And they go Jordan Addison at 17.
Gosh.
And then they trade Deontay Johnson to Arizona for the 35th overall pick. And then Arizona trades DeAndre Hopkins to Fucking Chiefs. I don't know.
Bro, it's the same thing. I mean, same thing. Chargers with Keenan Allen or Chargers with Mike, Jeff is saying Chargers drafting Jackson Smith or Michael Mayer. Yeah, I think
that would be hot.
That would be crazy because Keenan Allen's older. Mike Williams injury prone, figuring throughout his whole career. Maybe it's time to just walk away, get a younger wide receiver,
or just plan for the future.
Or yeah,
I like it.
So
I picked 3rd and 9th. Who would you prefer, Gibbs and AR or Stroud and Tucker? I mean, for me, it would be Gibbs and AR. You might be Stroud and Tucker though, but for me, Gibbs and AR.
Yeah, I think Stroud. I'm just significantly higher on Stroud.
Okay. 12-team Superflex quarterbacks are Lawrence, Tua, Mac Jones, Goff, Love. I have 102. I have to go Jackson, right? Mm-hmm. Lawrence, Tua, Mac Jones. I mean, you don't have to. Ideally, you trade down and get Jackson still.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can.
I saw a mock where Jackson Smith went to the Giants because
I've seen that.
They have him going in the late first now, and the Giants are in the late first. Please.
There's been a couple of sneaky spots I've seen that I've been like, oh, that's cool. I mean, one of them was Minnesota to the Vikings.
Interesting.
I like it. I mean, he instantly becomes the 2 to Jefferson, and he doesn't even have to play outside. He can be a dominant slot guy. Another one I saw was Seattle, which, again, I think you probably put him on the outside. Lockett's in the slot. Don't love that one as much. I see Green Bay often, which I think would be hot.
No matter if it's
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter if it's Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers. I agree. Like I'm agreeing with. I don't. Who's the quarterback there? Because I think we both believe in Jordan Love.
Yeah, we do. Throwing numbers out there. Would you trade the 103 and 105? Ooh, no. I just don't like moving up because it always costs too much. But let me say this: if you view Bijan as truly the missing piece, then yes, and he could be for a lot of people. Only you know that. Mm-hmm. I really hope Xavier gets 2nd or 3rd round draft capital. Same, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So like CJ and JSN possibly for him, putting names to the picks. Yeah, like that's what you have to pay Jackson Smith and CJ, and I think there's a very high chance that Jackson ends up being one of these top 10 dynasty wide receivers by the end of the season. That's tough to pay, but again, if he's the missing piece, you could look at doing that. Christian says got the 106 and 114. Keep them or try to trade up. I think I'm okay with any of Jason. Yeah, I'd be fine to stay at the 106. 106 feels comfy in a super flex.
114.
Chase,
yeah,
and Jalen Warren for the 101 and 103. I'll take the 101 and the 103.
Yeah, I'll take that's Bijan and a quarterback essentially, depending on
or Bijan and JSN.
Yeah, or JSN exactly. Which I would rather have Bijan and a quarterback or JSN than Chase and Warren personally.
Yeah.
Are you telling me you can just throw in Jalen Warren and you can get the 101 and 103?
Yeah, well, I guess you think about it. For the 101 alone, you would Chase is worth more than the 101 this year. Because you're taking Chase over Bijan in a startup anyway. It's probably pretty even when we get to startup time. But yeah, you're right. Warren is I'll take the picks. Thoughts on Tucker Kraft? I like him, man. I don't know that he's a better NFL tight end than Michael Mayer, but think about it. Dallas Goedert from the same university, not D1, but pretty complete builds. And I think he probably gets 2nd round draft capital. So I'm a big fan of Tucker Kraft. Pretty complete game in my opinion.
Yeah, let's see how he goes. He's a big dude too. So.
All right, guys, that's probably it for today. Who's this year's prospect that has a chance to rise? For me, it's Xavier. If you're looking at the wide receiver position,
that Parker
Washington for you, yeah.
For me, it'll be Parker in the wide receiver room for sure. In the running back room, probably say, I would probably say Izzy and Chase.
Izzy for me.
Yeah, I would definitely say Izzy. I don't have my list in front of me. Hold on, maybe I do.
Yeah.
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. We'll be live tomorrow. If you want to watch another rookie draft, we literally did one that we just released today where we go back and forth and it's all of our own thoughts. So, hey, thank you so much for the sub. So, if you'd like to keep watching us talk about Dynasty for whatever reason, you're probably just as crazy as us about prospects, go watch that video. It's another hour worth of content for you. And we'll see you guys very soon. All love.
Love.